Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of the Neon Crew podcast. My name is Kyle.
And I'm McClain.
Hi, McClain.
Hi, Kyle.
You seem a little tired right now. You seem a little. You know how like when people say like, "Oh, you look so tired."
It's a compliment.
Because it's such a nice thing to say to somebody. Yeah. Like I never get angry when someone tells me that I look tired.
You read my mind.
But it helps that you told me that you were tired before we started recording.
Oh, so. It's just I got my son with me, so it's a lot of he's attached to the hip, which I love, but it does wears you down.
It weighs on you.
Yeah,
physically and emotionally.
Oh, it's just a lot of stuff, and then juggling a lot of things. So
yeah, but
we made it. We're here. We got to watch two fine films, and yeah,
there we go. If you're juggling a lot, that just means you'll get good at juggling.
I don't think so. I've tried.
Gideon can juggle. I've seen him do it. I've always had this kind of like weird idea for like a story. Maybe it's just like this goofy little gimmick thing where like there's a street gang of jugglers and they have a rivalry with a street gang of hacky sackers.
Oh,
so it'd be like the jugglers versus the sackers or something weird.
Is this kind of like a West Side Story type deal, or
maybe except better? I think potentially.
Yeah, instead of singing, they're doing their acts.
Yeah, and not a musical. I would not want to be a musical.
No, it seems
it'd be more like a bloody kind of like Gangs of New York type thing.
There you go. I was about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, juggling heads.
Juggling innards.
Yeah. And hacky sacking. Anyways.
Hacky sacking eyeballs. It'd be so gruesome, Jesus.
Yeah, we're getting there. How have you been, man?
Oh, I've been doing
good.
Well.
Yeah.
A little stressed out. Being a new homeowner is kind of an endeavor in of itself.
Yeah, when you get that first water bill.
Water bill's not as bad as just the mortgage itself.
Oh, okay.
Which honestly, the mortgage isn't too bad. It's just I have a lot more bills now than I did when I lived with a roommate.
Yep.
Or a couple roommates, because obviously the cost is going to be a lot less when you have other people living with you. With here, it's just me. It's all on my shoulders, so that's a lot of pressure in of itself.
Yeah,
and
no more sick days, huh?
No more sick days. The fact that I have a lot more types of bills now than I did before. Before it was pretty simple, straightforward. I would only have like a few here and there. Now it seems like every other day I'm getting a bill, and it's a little overwhelming at times, but I'm making it through.
That's good.
Yeah. And I've got some good things on the horizon, so I think,
there we go.
Yeah, whatever fucking Facebook quote that shit is from like Peaky Blinders or whatever.
No idea.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like one of those motivational posters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like probably I can see you on a ship. There's just good things on the horizon, and it's just going off into the sunrise.
It's just a picture of Tom Hanks for some reason.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Good things on the horizon. It's just him smiling at you.
Yeah. It's him in like this nice looking suit. It's either him or Cillian Murphy from Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
It's always those two.
I'm telling you, Notre Dame has it's got a poster that says "Play like a champion." Mm-hmm. So when those guys they take the field, they all kind of hit it on the way out.
Yeah.
It's like one of those. We should get a picture of Tom Hardy in a suit above your door. Like before we come in here, we slap it.
Yeah.
Get ready for the pod.
Oh, that could be like our introduction video for like. When the intro music plays, it'll just be like us going through and like slapping Tom Hardy.
I was about to say, it shows us like it's a slow motion vignettes of us doing things like I'm gargling salt water. You're doing the how now brown cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
is that? How now brown cow?
Yeah, to help you with enunciation.
Oh, okay.
You can tell I don't do
it. No worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
We're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, things have been well. Things have been going well, I would say.
Awesome.
A little stressful, but...
Yes.
Speaking of stress, I'm sure Benedict Cumberbatch was stressed in the situation that he was in for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Yes.
I can tell you got thoughts, because
I've got thoughts.
We're hitting it head on.
I've got thoughts about both films, but I really have thoughts about this.
Okay.
So when did you watch this? It's been a minute for me.
I I had tonsillitis or strep throat or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was just it was like a cold. I don't know.
Are you okay right now?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good now.
Okay, so I can kiss you.
Yes. Yep. Tongue and all.
You heard it, folks.
Chalk it. Yeah. So Saturday, I went out. So it would have been a week from this past Saturday, like a week ago from it. So I was with the lady friend, and we decided. I was like, we were trying to figure out something to do. So I was like, we got a couple hours to kill before it gets into like either we make dinner or figure out something.
Yeah.
So instead of like enjoying the nice 80-degree day, I was like, let's go and sit inside a movie theater. But I was like exhausted and kind of sick, so
not feeling too adventurous.
No, I was like, I don't want to go outside. And if it was allergies, it's like, you might as well cock 6 guns and put it in front of my face going outside with that. Like, there's no way. I had no idea. So we went and I saw it, 10 days ago. However many days ago that is.
That's probably about how long it's been since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So it's not the super freshest thing in my head.
Right.
Like I watched Boiling Point yesterday.
Same here.
And that is like really fresh. Fresher than the food that they prepare in that movie.
Damn.
Yeah. Believe that. That's my one for this episode.
There we go.
That's my one.
Like an Easter egg.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just now we got to cut it out and put it somewhere.
Like an Easter egg that they include in Doctor Strange.
Ooh, I'm excited. I mean, I hope that you have a little bit more nuggets of information than I do. I was trying to just...
I have a little bit.
Okay.
So this film, I can summarize this if you want to get Boiling Point later.
I'll knock out Boiling Point.
Nice. This is a MCU movie. It is a sequel to the Doctor Strange film that came out in 2016, although it really doesn't have much to do with it. There's a lot of elements from previous MCU films that are carried over into it. And it's directed by Sam Raimi, who, if you don't know, directed the Evil Dead films as well as the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy.
Yes.
And kind of known for his hands in the horror genre.
A little bit. It's kind of weird to say that he directs horror films because the ones that you look up they're kind of cartoony horror.
Yeah, he's definitely has a style.
It's like tongue-in-cheek horror.
Right. It's very stylistic. He does a lot of like unique camera tricks and a lot of like perspective shots that are very Sam Raimi-ish, which you get a decent amount in this film, I would say. Maybe a little less so than some of his previous works, but we'll get into it.
Yes.
So this film follows Doctor Strange after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, which originally this film was supposed to come out before, but they had to do some reshoots and reworks so that they could fit it into the fact that No Way Home came out before this one. So this follows Doctor Strange on a quest to basically protect this girl, America Chavez, who can travel the multiverse from this evil entity that is following her and plaguing her throughout all these different types of universes. And throughout the adventure, Doctor Strange encounters different versions of himself. He encounters other realities where he interacts with certain characters and certain things happen to where he's got to try to bring back balance to everything and protect this girl. So
yes,
that's about as much as I can say without getting too spoilery about it. So
yeah, if you haven't seen it, just
spoiler warning.
Yeah, that, and then just check out Boiling Point so then you can listen to that. Yes. If you don't listen to this.
Preemptive spoiler warning for Boiling Point too.
Yes, as always. How we always go.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So
if you don't know by now, the train is a little too late for you. It's already left the station. It's already on another continent right now. But
transcontinental trains.
Snowpiercer. Which that would be a good discussion in the future, I think.
Sure.
So what did you think of this movie?
It was yeah.
I kind of feel the same way.
Like
I think I liked it overall, but there are some obvious issues.
I don't know. No, I have such a. It's like, do I like it, or do I like it because it's an MCU film? Like it.
I think the reasons I like it are the fact that it has some elements that are very not MCU. Mostly
dealing with the
Sam Raimi directing, like the upped violence in it, which isn't even super violent, but it's by MCU standards pretty violent, I guess. It's funny because I saw a post on Facebook from somebody, not name dropping, but they said, if you're bringing your kids to see Doctor Strange 2, just know that it's super violent and it's got like demonic Satanist symbols and themes and all this stuff, and I'm just rolling my eyes in the back of my head. Like,
it's so funny because like you get into these types of films and it's like, man, for MCU it's kind of violent, and then you really compare it to other films and it's like not that violent at all.
Like these people would not have a good time with any R-rated movie.
Oh my god, no, there's
that has to do with like violence or anything.
Oh my god, The Last Exorcism. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's about like this guy that it might be something I recommend too, but I mean, just for the synopsis, he goes in and he's kind of like he does exorcisms, but he's a commercial exorcist like guy.
Okay.
So he doesn't know what he's doing, but for the standards of where he's going, it's pretty like, oh my god, this guy knows exactly, and he puts on a show.
Yeah, it's not the hardest thing to do in the world.
Well, and then he gets thrust into the shit, and it's like him, like a almost character unraveling.
Yeah.
And that's what like some of the Marvel films feel like sometimes, when it's like it's so incredibly violent. It's like it's on par with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like this isn't, you want to see incredibly violent, like watch The Northman.
Yeah.
Well, not even that's not
I would hate to see what these people would react to The Northman.
Like, and say Satanistic, like this is all, it's commercial Satanistic vibes. Like, let's plug you into a cult that really, has satanic worship. And see how,
it's very surface level.
Yes.
And I think that is, I wouldn't say necessarily a complaint, because it is still an MCU movie and it's like targeted towards a certain demographic. So I guess I can't fault it for what it's intending to do and doing it effectively. It's just, it's weird when people say stuff like, oh, this is the most violent MCU film, or like for the Eternals, it's like, oh, it's the Eternals' first sex scene. It's like, I've seen way more graphic sex scenes in like the Adventure Time TV show than I have fucking Eternals, for God's sake. And then this is kind of like a same comparison sort of thing. It's like, by MCU standards, yeah, sure, it is more violent, but it's, I mean, how much does that mean in the grand scheme of things?
There was one there was one scene that like when they run into the Illuminati. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of took off, like that little scene right there. I was like, oh shit, like this is kind of like, it was remember the Suicide Squad? Have you seen that? The new one?
I haven't seen either of them.
So I haven't seen the other one.
I know
I think I've seen it, but that's not a great tell.
The original is PG-13, right? And
right.
The new one is R-rated.
Yeah.
Like it's directed by James Gunn.
And the opening to it is like, here we go.
Okay. It lets you know what kind of film you're getting into.
Yeah. So I mean, this one kind of had like at that the Illuminati scene was like Sam Raimi actually got to have a little bit of fun. It was like, I'm gonna do my kind of artistic and like we're gonna laugh about this and show some like gruesome stuff,
Yeah, that scene and the scene with the giant monster with the eyeball popping out are like the two scenes that stand out to me as like, okay,
did the eyeball fall out?
It was towards the beginning when it like goes through the portal and Doctor Strange like pops the eyeball out basically with like this magic thing. It's been a minute, so I don't remember a whole lot. But
I kind of was like, oh, like that's kind of...
Yeah, but like those two scenes are what stand out to me as like, okay, Sam Raimi had some fun with this.
Yeah.
But so the Sam Raimi stuff, I truly believe that they like gave him creative freedom, but it also is pretty apparent that like some studio execs probably came in and were like, hey, Sam, we gotta reel it back a little bit. It is an MCU movie. We have to like keep it in line with all the other ones. And I liked the Sam Raimi stuff quite a bit. I enjoyed it because it did feel different. It did feel separated from the rest of the like factory made Marvel movies that we see. I mean, I definitely think I like this better than the original Doctor Strange. Like to me, it feels more special and it feels like it's going for more and like kind of has a voice of its own, whereas the first Doctor Strange just feels like a standard superhero origin story that was purely made to introduce the character.
Yeah, I'm a little torn. I don't know. Marvel has its footprint right now, and there's certain expectations with kind of like the storyline. So you have all these films that they're cardboard cutouts almost.
Yeah.
Each tell a different story, but it's kind of, I mean, they fall into the same probably journey, the hero's journey, or the kind of archetype. And then so you're getting into a little bit more of we're venturing out. We've created our own name. And like this one touches on a lot more themes, I think, than most Marvel movies do. And I think Eternals might have been the first wave of that, trying to introduce new themes and a little bit more of the universe that we're engulfing ourselves in.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I have 30 some odd movies right now that are one way, and all of a sudden there's like this new wave kind of coming through, and it's like, all right, is this like
building to something? Is it like,
well, I mean, where are we going? I mean, you have it's
right.
like you're on a roller coaster essentially. Shivering Timbers is the same as a Zigzag Zoomer, is the same as Millennium Force. Like they're all roller coasters.
That is a reference to Michigan's Adventure, in case you're listening from Denmark, which I know there's at least one.
we need to learn some Denmark so we can greet everyone.
Yeah.
That'd be funny if this person got on every time and was like, why do I click on the same goddamn podcast?
It's always an accident.
And they end up listening, like waiting for it to turn over, and it never does.
Yeah. He's like, goddamn, the English translation still.
Yeah.
Why can't I get the Denmark
They'd
version?
be like watching it on YouTube when I did Chopper.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was trying to watch it, and it was just like made up words half the time.
Those like auto-generated subtitles.
Oh, it's so bad. They're doing it with this one. Oh, mine would be all fucked up.
I'm curious if that's actually a thing, like for our podcast. Like if it tries to figure out what we're saying, but it just misses the mark completely. Like I haven't looked to see if it does it.
True. Well, if you're listening in a different language, let us know.
Yeah.
If not, you could also let us know. But
let us know if what we're saying is incoherent babble according to the subtitles.
Thank you. I was about to say, not just listening,
not just not just with our voices.
Mac's the best at that. Yeah. So no, I guess what I'm saying is, in terms of the roller coaster, it kind of feels like we're getting on a new ride. And I don't know if it's just because I'm not used to it that I'm like kind of I feel a little different about it.
Well,
or
I think part of it is that, so with this new phase of Marvel movies, like before, when the end credits scene would pop up and you got like a little teaser for what's to come, like it would almost always like lead back into Thanos in a way,
yes.
At least after the first Avengers film.
Yeah.
Because it was like the building point. It was what it was like going towards. And then you get to Infinity War and Endgame, and that's like the big payoff. That was like the thing that was the end all be all. Whereas now with these new movies, I can't tell if they're building towards like one specific type of thing.
Yes.
Eternals, they introduce Harry Styles, the One Direction kid, Thanos' brother. At the end of Doctor Strange, they have Charlize Theron. They're running around, and it's like, all right, where is all this going? I feel like there's really no sort of exact goal compared to like the first wave of Marvel films.
Yeah, and the stakes. I guess it's all just a culmination of things, because the stakes with Thanos, it was building like Thanos. You're building towards that, and you're building towards dealing with the sociopath.
Yeah,
that's got. You're any story you're dealing with a sociopath. It's how do we stop this person from their misaligned, beliefs, right? And the new stuff, it's like, at least in this one, I didn't really ever. I don't think I ever felt the weight of the multiverse at stake. I
feel like there wasn't as much multiverse stuff as I thought there was going to be.
Absolutely,
like he didn't travel through many different universes quite the way that it was kind of marketed. Like I feel like like they went through a few different places, and there was like a couple different versions of them that we got to see a little bit of in the film, but like not a whole lot. And I feel like it was kind of held back because of that in a way.
100%. Well, dude, okay. Wanda, the whole thing with Wanda, I couldn't remember WandaVision. And then
I had never seen WandaVision.
I watched WandaVision, and now I'm reading up trying to figure out, because like I thought that Agnes, who's in WandaVision, I thought she was a Scarlet Witch. She's not. Wanda's a Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
It was her getting to release her as a Scarlet Witch. WandaVision is all right, dude. WandaVision is Wanda coping with grief, right? And she has no way to deal with that. So she loses, the one thing that she loves. So she creates this whole world, right? And kind of projects or takes this whole town and puts them in her own little world so she can create and live in this happy little, Stepford Wives type life, right? Yeah. Well, it turned, she held the town hostage, right? Incorporated herself into everyone's mind, took over and was controlling all of them to live this world so she could be with her. She had these 2 kids that were like not even her kids, which I wasn't sure about that, with Vision, who died in Endgame, but is like somewhat of a recreation from what she has from the Mind Stone, from destroying it or having bits of,
her memories of him.
And and she can kind of create a little bit of him. So physically, I don't know if he was really there or not. But anyways, just saying that to you, wouldn't that kind of strike you more as horror?
It's definitely like a sort of person who has like gone too much into the deep end of things.
I'm controlling the minds of 50 people in this small town. Okay, so that show, after reading all that, I was like, how the fuck did I miss all this?
I think what was supposed to like kind of catch people up to speed in case they haven't watched WandaVision like myself is that the events of WandaVision take place, but also she's got this book that makes her inclined to do bad things.
She got that at the end of WandaVision.
Okay.
Yeah, so and you don't have to see, you could I don't want to say don't watch WandaVision, but I'm telling you, I'm really curious about it now, because like after reading some of the stuff about her kind of plight, and so you read, she's coping, right? And she takes over this town, and I'm not trying to do a whole thing on WandaVision, but she takes over the town.
Yeah.
She recreates Vision. She creates a whole family. All this is fucking in her head. She takes over these people. There's one part where they talk about the kids. She locks up these kids away so she can create their projections so they can hang out with her kids.
Yeah.
All right. This is all Stockholm Syndrome type shit. She's batshit insane. And they do it like it's this like 1950s, Lucille and, Lucy and Desi are not like, and I'm like, did I miss this? And she's supposed to be, I think, a sympathetic villain after reading all,
she's, I can't vouch for WandaVision too much because I haven't seen it, but it's, it definitely feels like there is something missing there, right? The tone is very different than what's actually happening in the film, and I don't know if maybe I missed that tone with some parts in the show, because I never was like, oh, she's awful. I totally relate to what's going on with her, but like where they're brought her to in terms of Doctor Strange and the multiverse, I feel like 2 different wavelengths. Two different versions. I like the idea. I like the idea of like her being a villain and her like kind of wrecking shop, because she's a powerful character, and I like the idea of like her being such a powerful character, like being an evil force in the movie, and like a character that we've all come to know as like one of the good guys that all of a sudden just becomes like insane and desperate to the point of becoming evil. Like I like that idea, but as someone who hasn't like seen the show, I guess even as someone who has seen the show, it feels very off-putting and kind of sudden. Like it just kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere.
Well, it's so hard to freaking describe, because I was reading up on some stuff because I wanted to help with my perspective on it. And I was like, maybe this will help me kind of understand it more or like it more. And I wanted to know where. And one of the cool things I read was they related her to a Greek goddess, Medeus, I want to say.
Okay.
And they were kind of going over, tales as old as, I don't want to say tales, but a woman's plight and the ability that, for her to process and grieve and to understand kind of some of the tragedies that's happened in her life and how it can be affected and how no one recognizes it and that emotional burden that you kind of carry with no outlet. And you get into a little bit of this, with that. I mean, she's lost vision. She lost her brother. She lost her kids because she had those kids in WandaVision. So the ones that she wants to go, which was kind of cool after reading it because those kids in WandaVision were the kids that she was trying to seek in the multiverse because she pulled them from somewhere.
Okay.
And that's where you kind of find out how strong she is, but you also understand, with her that she's just got nowhere to go with how she's feeling. And you're taking someone that's incredibly powerful and they don't have an outlet. They don't have, and no one's there to help them cope, and they've got nothing. And so after reading that, I was like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Kind of have a new appreciation for it.
Yeah. But I mean, and then I'm reading it, and I was like, okay, so we're building her up to this. Then how do you make WandaVision and like make her feel good, like the good guy? Like,
I feel like there's maybe a little bit of lack of communication or just whatever.
Tone.
Yeah,
it's all
and
tone.
Well, because like the TV shows feel so separated from everything going on in the movies that I didn't think that they would ever introduce like elements of the TV show into the movies.
Oh yeah, I was
because they got to know that like a good majority of fans who like the MCU just don't have Disney Plus and don't watch the shows.
No, they don't give a. They're trying to. This is all turning into like a. We're making the comic books. Like you had to read the comic books to keep up with it. Now you're gonna have to watch the shows.
You gotta know this character's history to know how it relates to this character's history, and it's The nice thing, though, I mean, if you really wanted to and you don't want to watch WandaVision, like you can just read up on the ending, and it really like. I'm not lying. Like all the shit I watched, I just had to read the ending of it. I was like, oh, I kind of remember that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. So I'm thinking like, I literally don't remember much of anything of this. I just read that, and that made enough sense to what happened in the film. To make sense. But no. So the stakes? Did you ever feel like the stakes were that high? Like her reason for doing all this and bringing down the multiverse, was it ever justified? Did you ever? And I don't want to get into the sociopathic nature of it where it's like it's never, but like, did you ever feel like the stakes were high enough to justify what we were watching? I never felt super tense when I was watching the film, other than another film we're going to talk about soon. Like I never felt like the characters were ever like going to not be in control or like not like come out of it on top. With Infinity War, it's a different feel because the way it ends is so ominous and bleak that it's like something that the MCU had never done before. And so that was like a cool feeling to feel while watching a superhero comic book type movie. Whereas this, it feels, I don't want to say safe, but...
Safe's a fine word.
It feels like the victory of the main characters and the heroes is guaranteed.
Yes.
Like I never felt that there was a moment where like, oh yeah, Doctor Strange could totally lose this, or America Chavez could totally die. Like I never once felt that feeling in watching the entire movie.
Yeah, I think that's why. I think a little bit of the scene with the Illuminati was kind of cool. That's why I did like that because like you're talking like when they introduce these characters, there's no like impending doom, and then they introduce this ragtag group of saviors of a different world and a different multiverse. And then when she shows up, it's like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. Like,
and she just completely wrecks every single one of them.
Yeah, and that was kind of...
I liked that scene. I liked the fact that she just wrecks shop, and you get to showcase how, like, powerful she is as a character, and, like, how much of a threat she is. Still didn't feel tension towards, like, Doctor Strange or America Chavez, but I still thought that it was a cool inclusion, and the fact that they introduce... John Krasinski as Reed Richards. They bring back Charles Xavier. They have Agent Carter as the new Captain America, and they still like these characters that people are like fans of or like want to see more of, and then they just like completely destroy them. Yeah, which is funny, and also the fact that they're just different like versions in another universe. So I guess it's kind of like, oh, yeah, they're the characters, but they're also, I guess, not the characters. Like, we could bring Reed Richards into the MCU and still have it be John Krasinski or whatever. He's just a different version.
I was about to say, I mean, since they introduced him, I mean, and they're in the multiverse, that means they exist in other timelines or in other universes. So it's not, it's just in that particular one they're of where they're at. But they
like the multiverse
elsewhere.
as a concept, they have a lot of creative freedom to do what they want, and like they could bring those characters into the MCU and have all sorts of like reasons for doing and not doing certain things.
So like I'm like everyone, like the multiverse, it kind of like blows your mind a little bit sometimes when you're trying to think about like like you haven't seen Loki, I guess, either.
No.
Like the time variance and the timeline and all these different universes and everything kind of geared towards fate and sticking on and incursions pop and all these things, right? And then it's kind of funny just to think that like Stan Lee was getting baked one time, realized that he couldn't keep all this shit in like one. So he's like, I'm just gonna create more of them, and then like we'll just make sure it stays on my like writing history.
Yeah. Continuity error? No, that's a different universe.
Yeah, like I'm done with trying to keep up all these fucking families, and if I want Spider-Man to fight Captain America, like, well, I'll just create a whole nother universe and say it happened here.
Yeah, there's so many different like universes and like comic book stories that have to do in those universes.
Yeah, and it was an escape pod for him, but I'm like, he got fucking high and was just sitting there like looking at the stars, like, well, who's to say on that planet I couldn't be there?
Yeah.
So it's cool, and it really opens up so much more. But I guess the problem too that we're gonna run into is the stakes that we're kind of battling.
Exactly, right? With limitless possibilities, there's also a feeling of like it could go any way, so why should I have like realistic tension while I'm watching this film? And
I think that's where this one was at. It was a little bit too much of like, we're gonna introduce this, but I don't know why they couldn't have just had it. Well, it's funny too, because at the beginning of the film, and maybe I missed this, but like, so she's running away from forces at America Chavez that are trying to get her to suck her powers, right?
Yeah.
Did they bring that back?
I think it's implied that those forces are Wanda the entire time. Like it's Wanda like from the beginning.
So
like,
she's dream walking and trying to like she's
yeah.
That's, I guess,
like that eyeball monster was something that Wanda like sicked on her.
Sure.
Like a dog.
Yeah.
Like had her go attack herself. Like she was in control of it, and she was the one behind it all from the get-go.
That's what I was trying to. Yeah, they introduced some things that I was not familiar with, and then they had the Dark Book or the Dark Hold, and I was trying to think from the original Doctor Strange if Mads Mikkelsen was part of that, because I think the Sorcerer Supreme had a little bit of the Dark Hold.
I forgot that Mads was in the first Doctor Strange. Like I always forget that.
I rewatched it, and actually it's a lot better than what I thought.
Okay,
I checked it out, and I was like, oh, I actually like giving it a shot and knowing more about Doctor Strange. That was and not just going like, oh, it's just a bunch of fairy tale people fighting, which is like every film.
Right.
So,
especially in the MCU.
I don't know if they needed that's where I was kind of, I wish they didn't. You could bring in the multiverse, but you don't have to like, we're saving it and just some sequel to Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Like that'd be like Endgame popping up and like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and like, we gotta stop him this time. Like you're just like, boy, this seems really, really like out of left field. Like,
right.
Yeah,
I like the ideas that were presented in this movie. Like a lot of the ideas that they brought forward, like Wanda being the villain and the multiverse and all that jazz. But it did feel like pretty messy. Felt
100%.
Felt like it didn't really have a whole entire like focus. Like 1 minute it's about like protecting America Chavez, another minute it's about like Doctor Strange, how he like missed out and like can't seem to like find a way back to like Christina and like all this stuff. Like it's very
choppy.
It's very choppy. Yeah.
It never had a subtle. It wasn't a fucking easy path to walk on. Like it was like, hey, don't walk on the grass, and it's just cobblestone.
Right.
And you're trying to hop from one place to the next, and there's no, you got to stop and think. And then all of a sudden, maybe it's kind of easy, and then it's like, oh shit, like now I got to really jump over it. Yeah.
So how did you feel about the special effects?
Awful.
I liked about half of them. The other half I could tell were just like okay, this is clearly an effect. Like, there's no... I feel like it's near impossible to make Reed Richards look good when he's stretching out, which he didn't even do that much in this movie, but there's a lot of instances in this film where...
That fight was a shit CGI fight.
There's very clearly, like, you could tell where, like, a lot of the budget went in terms of CGI. A lot of it's pretty underwhelming, especially for the fact that, like, Endgame and Infinity War especially look as good as they do. Like, those films... I'll rewatch scenes every now and again on YouTube, and they still hold up.
Well, you know, half of it, I will say, is you're fighting on Earth. Mm-hmm. So, like, you can take those scenes, get a bunch of CGI, stage some sets, and still make it, like, Earth-like.
Uh-huh.
Like, in this, like, they're fighting in clouds and in dreams, and at one point there's a zombie fighting.
As soon as you get into, like, the otherworldly aspects of things, like the abstract concepts of what you can do with CGI, it becomes really noticeable. Yeah,
and you have to have like that budget to kind of off-put like some of what you're facing. So I mean, it opens up and they're like running in some universe or in some cloud, and they're like he's in the multiverse, or I don't even know what that area is because it's maybe some portal into every multiverse. But
that area in the beginning when like he and America Chavez are running, but it's like a different version of him.
They literally just open up and they're running.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was a pretty jarring opening, not gonna lie.
It's just weird. It was
you
don't know who these characters
we're all in like the action of it, and it's presented in like such a weird... It almost felt like a non-special opening in a way. Like
it's like a cold open, but like
it felt like a TV show.
You didn't watch What If? There's this part in What If, the series finale is kind of living in that world, and I forgot where they're going. It's kind of traveling the multiverse, if you will. And What If you ever get a chance, it's a little bizarre, and I'd probably like to check that one out again. But they live in that world where you open up the safe, and all of a sudden you're just floating in this dimension. I don't even know what it is. So they're running in that area, and I was like, oh, this is like from What If, you know? And all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know. I think you're supposed to be like, oh, maybe this is like Doctor Strange, and you know this. And you're kind of like, it is a dream, but you know, maybe this is alluding to what's going to happen or where we're kind of going. You know, that premonition, like what Tony Stark had. You know, maybe it's. And then, you know, boom, boom, bing, she's out. Yep. And he wakes up, and we're just kind of left like, okay, like what's going on here? Yeah, it's a pretty. I don't want to say bizarre, but it's just a jarring opening. It is. It's weird. I thought it was. It brings the questions in. What were we going to? Which I think is nice because it gets you thinking right off the gate. Yeah. Which probably helps out with like opening up your mind to what's about to come. But like, yeah. Did you think that Tom Cruise was going to be in this movie at all? Did you hear anything about like the rumors or like the pictures, air quotes pictures that leaked out? No, no. So originally, when they were making the first Iron Man, one of the actors that they had considered for the role was Tom Cruise. Yeah. And there was a rumor going around that in this movie, in another universe, like different version of Tony Stark, they were going to have him played by Tom Cruise. And there were even like someone had made pictures of like him in like this little like makeshift like green screen Iron Man suit, like this really blurry ass like shitty behind the scenes picture of like him doing action scenes. And it's clear to me now that those are like fake, but during the whole time watching the film, in the back of my head I was like, is Tom Cruise gonna show up? Is he gonna pop in? And then the whole stuff with like Reed Richards and Charles Xavier happened. I'm like, he's probably not gonna come. And then the movie ended. I'm like, yeah, he didn't show up. It was probably like somewhat of like guerrilla marketing and trying to get people ready for something popping out, being ready. Maybe. I don't know. I think a lot of this was trying to gear up people for one, not having watched WandaVision. And trying to kind of keep your minds open and keep kind of thinking, as opposed to being like, what the fuck am I watching? You know? Yeah. No, so I got I had to look it up. I was trying to do a little bit of research, but I'm curious as to how you felt. So watching this, I think about 3/4 of the film, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a COVID-19 movie. What do you mean? So if you watch it,
like it was filmed during the pandemic.
Like Dude, there was no more. They had, I think, a couple scenes where there was more than 3 characters together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if not spaced out.
But that is something that I thought about, and I did look it up. Today actually.
I was
in preparation.
And
I read how like a lot of the scenes that they had to like reshoot. They had to reshoot because before there was a lot of like COVID restrictions. And there was all this, all the pandemic stuff happening. So it makes sense.
I mean, like,
because there's not many characters in the movie on screen at once.
No, like there's. I think the Kamaj Tall or the Kamar Tall or whatever the Kamaj.
Yeah, the temple that Wanda attacks.
Yeah, that was the most extras and people that you see at any one point.
Aside from the beginning with the eyeball monster.
At the wedding?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I was kind of like trying to figure out, like, all right, where'd they do the reshoots at? Because the wedding scene is just one scene.
Yep.
So that could be an easy reshoot. And then the temple is 2 days of filming.
And they probably CGI duplicated a lot of like people, because a lot of it is like wide shots.
Yes.
Of like the temple with Wanda just floating above it. I'm sure as shit they probably just digitally duplicated.
100.
Like
that was a shit CGI scene. That scene sucked. Like I was like, when that hit, like all of a sudden she's just taking everyone out, and it's like, I'm like,
the scenes that stand out to me are like the Reed Richards stuff, of course. Them like crashing through the different universes when they like become paint and stuff, like that stuff sticks out to me. And the beginning scene with them running through like the weird purple portal world or whatever, like with the other Doctor Strange and America Chavez, like those 3 stand out to me as like, this doesn't look the best.
Yes. Or even CGI zombie. Yeah, that was, I didn't think that was the worst, but it definitely wasn't like I could. You weren't nitpicking at it. Like
I wasn't nitpicking at it because I liked the idea of it. I liked the concept a lot, and I thought that for the most part it was pretty effective. Like it was kind of creepy, but like you said, it wasn't like 100% believable.
Yeah.
What did you think of the acting? I think I like Doctor Strange. I like Benedict Cumberbatch. I thought pretty much everybody was okay except for America Chavez.
Yeah,
I thought she was like distractingly bad in this movie as far as like
it's just
acting.
I mean, they got it's the Harry Potter stuff. I mean, you got this kid. She's gonna be in this now for. If she's in, I mean, she's going to be in all these other movies now.
I know.
So I mean, it's kind of, you're probably getting a first-time actress on here that fits the bill of whatever it looked like in the comic.
Yeah.
And she'll grow under her chops like Radcliffe did, but it's going to be a lot of, I mean, what's her, no one, it's like no one knows your strength. No one knows what you can do. You can travel across the multiverse, which I don't know if that makes you strong or just a great survivor. Mm-hmm. But I mean, in terms of her character, they had the weird, like, they kind of introduced a little bit, which I thought was forced to give you a little character introduction.
Yeah. Like, she felt very shoehorned. I didn't like her acting. I thought her character was pretty weak. Like, her ability to travel the multiverse only when she's scared, and the fact that, like, she feels like a damsel in distress the entire movie, and she feels like a hindrance the whole time. Which I guess is kind of the point, but it's just, I don't know, it feels so tired. I
don't want to say it was a hint. I mean, we know nothing about her. Mm-hmm. And the only thing we know is that she's supposed to be like 15, and she's got these powers she can't control. So, I mean, you got to understand, I mean, for her, like, as a director, what are you going to do? All right, you're going to be, well, one, I can't tell you if she's strong or not. So there's something for me right there is like, you're super stealthy, you're strong, you're not strong, you're afraid of your powers. You can't, I mean, didn't she kind of do something to her parents, or that's why she doesn't trust her powers? So she has a little bit of a fear of herself. So it's kind of like supposed to be maybe a coming of age with a mentor there with Doctor Strange, but he's not the best mentor ever because he's a fucking, like, he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really weird pairing to have them together. And I mean, honestly, for me, I didn't know what to make of her. I just knew that she was supposed to be scared and couldn't control her powers, but I don't even know what her power is besides I can open up portals and go somewhere. Like, what's that?
She can open up portals when she's scared, and that's why like her two moms got sucked away.
Well, it's you don't want to just say scared. She just doesn't know how to control it.
Right.
So at the time, it's
that's what like activates it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wasn't a fan. Like I see what they were going for. They had to make moments of conflict somehow, and like that was one of them. To where like, oh, she can travel the multiverse, but she can't control it. Like that's a point of contention. Like I get what they were going for. I just wasn't a huge fan of it.
It's hard to direct. I'm agreeing. I thought she was playing as Day, but I don't necessarily blame her because it's like, and maybe you're supposed to make the character, but like you're with here you go. You're with a Marvel and Avenger. You've got all these superpowers. You killed your parents and sucked them into a different dimension because you freaked out when you were 4, and that's probably going to cause some PTSD in your life. We don't know what this power does necessarily in terms of helping out the multiverse besides you just being able to go and travel. Like, if she can go somewhere else, she can't save anyone. She can just go there, as far as I know. They don't introduce anything else, right?
Right.
So, like, right now, all you are is a kid on the run, kind of running from your past, maybe?
Yeah. I get, in a sense, running from your past, mostly running from the fact that Wanda is just batshit and wants to make her own reality a reality.
Yeah. So like, I don't know how to play fear on screen.
Yeah.
That's the one, like, especially when that's the funny part too, because like I don't know how to play fear on screen, but then at the same token, she can't get afraid or else she goes into fucking other areas. So it's like you're scared, but you can't be scared. So just a false bravado, which she kind of had. But I don't know. There was a weird, I don't know. So no one's probably going to pick up on this, but like, how many times do you watch a film when they're shooting, like a character, like a female character, right? And like they're talking, where they do instead like a pan, like not a pan out shot, but a far off shot, so you can see the whole body instead of over the shoulder. Like, do you ever notice that? Like when you're watching it, like, oh, they got her whole figure in here as opposed to just over the shoulder or from like behind the back or getting some other elements in.
Sometimes it's pretty noticeable in a lot of movies. I really can't say that I noticed it too much.
In this and I have no idea what was going on, but at halfway through, they did it like 4 or 5 times with her to get her whole body in the shot. And I was like, I don't know how many times, like, and this was halfway through the film. I was like, I don't know how many times I've seen like Rachel McAdams. Like if she was in jeans, like, you know, tight jeans, and she had like a blouse on or whatever, they're not getting behind, like Scarlett Johansson. Like you don't just get behind her to get her whole ass and her whole figure in the shot. You know, a lot of the time she'll either be doing something, like she's moving around. It's not just her talking and you have Doctor Strange and you're getting the whole environment, because they're not anywhere special. And they did that like 4 or 5 times halfway through this film, and I was like, is this perverted, or like what is going on with, like, why are we doing this?
That's weird. I'm sure there's something going on.
It has to be, maybe, but the one that sticks out is she's in she was in the prison box or whatever. Doctor Strange was out or someone, and they just zoomed out and he's talking to her, looking up to her, and she's like, I
did think that was like a weird like camera angle.
They do it more than once with her, and I'm like, I don't know why we're doing this. Yeah, you know, like, because there's nothing else happening in the shot.
I remember that one scene pretty like vividly.
Yeah.
So that makes sense what you're saying. If I ever watch this again, I'll have to keep an eye out for it.
Just tell me how many, because I'm kind of curious, because that was like when it finally hit me, I was like, well, the first time they did it, I was like, this is kind of like a weird, like, you know, sometimes they'll take like an older actress or whatever if you want to have guys drool over her, and you'll do that like once or you know, just to get the hooting and hollering, and that's it. Like, you just do it once or twice, and then it's whatever. You know, it, you know, with the like, I don't, marketing purposes, I guess, or just the demographic. But like with this one, like after the 5th time, I was like, why?
Yeah,
like this is kind of like
that sounds pretty weird. I didn't notice it too much, but
I could be way off. It might only happen like 2 or 3 times, but. It got to a point where I was like, this is enough.
TBD.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure that out later. Put a pin in it. Yeah, was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we...
Well, what was the good? What did you like? I mean, was there any good of this?
I think I liked this a little bit more than you did. I think I really enjoyed like the ambitiousness of Sam Raimi's directing style into MCU film. Like I enjoyed how stylistic it is compared to most other MCU films. Like it's got his style going on. I like Benedict Cumberbatch. I like him as the character. I think he does a good job with it. I liked Wanda's character, despite the fact that I really didn't connect too much with like her reasonings behind going evil. I enjoyed like some of the special effects. Like I thought they were pretty cool. Like I thought the big old monster dudes at like the top of the mountain temple or whatever that Scarlet Witch was on, I thought they looked pretty good. I liked their character design. I think, yeah, as far as like a Marvel movie, I think it's just a slightly above average film that is serviceable. It does what it needs to do. I think it like the intention of the film, I think, is met. As far as like it wanting to be like a slightly edgier Marvel film that introduces like these different elements into a movie like this that we haven't seen before, like horror elements, air quotes, no matter how you feel about it. In terms of like other movies, you have to admit that it is like one of the more like, I guess, air quotes, experimental MCU films.
With
like
this one?
Yeah, with this one.
John Carpenter wanted to direct a Doctor Strange movie.
I did not know that.
In the 90s. Yeah, because he wanted to make it like a horror movie. So when I heard that this was kind of like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. There's some elements with that going on, I guess. I don't know, maybe because traveling multiple universes, resurrecting the dead, sorcery, witchcraft, all that stuff, you could really make it into like kind of a schlocky horror film if you wanted.
Yeah.
So I wasn't shocked like when it started happening, because I had heard that Carpenter, I think it was like in 94 or 93 or 96, somewhere in like that range. He said if he directed a Doctor Strange movie, he wanted to make it a horror film, and he must have been behind the comics.
And I think Doctor Strange is a good avenue to go with it if you want to go that route with a Marvel film. Like
you got witchcraft and wizardry, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got
there.
like all these different elements. You've got like these demons floating around. You've got like corpses being possessed in another universe. Like it's got all these wacky elements that could just flourish with a horror genre.
Yeah.
And I think it does a decent job of it. Not the best, it's not like Blair Witch. If I watch that, I'm gonna shit my pants because I'm scared. But I think it does an effective job.
Well, witchcraft and wizardry. I mean, you're not gonna get the scariest stuff out of it.
It was like I would compare this to Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's kind of like you get I keep saying element, but there's a taste to it. It's not werewolves and vampires.
Yeah,
it's definitely there's the ability to conjure good and evil, but kind of it's within control. It's not necessarily like an entity that is something that you're trying to stop.
Yeah, exactly. I think I like this movie overall. It's not my favorite. It's definitely not even like top, probably like 5 or maybe 10. But
yeah.
I think it did what it needed to do, and I think that if I ever like had to watch this again, I don't think I would be too upset about it. Like,
no, dude. It's kind of like Thor. I don't know if you could put Thor on and really be pissed that you have to watch Thor again, or
maybe Thor 2.
I like Thor 2. I'm just gonna say it right now. I think that one is like the most
watch it as a comedy.
Well, exactly. I was about to say the problem with Thor is Thor's supposed to be comedic, and then when you kind of put like, oh, this is a very comedic. Like Trolls 2 is supposed to be scary, but like if you watch it as a comedy, it's like hilarious. Which Thor 2 was like that. So.
I gotcha. So what did you like about it, if anything? McClain.
Well, I don't want to say that there's standards right now. So when you got Infinity War and Endgame come out, Kevin Feige kind of was like, I had my 4. You can really see he had a vision, because since him, the movies that have come out so far, I think Spider-Man No Way Home's the only one that's really and knocked it out. And even that's, I would say, more because of the fan lore behind what they did, as opposed to just the shooting of the movie itself. So I'm interested. I'm going off on my other, like, what did you like about it? No, I did like, there were things I liked about it. I have a hard time kind of wrapping my head up, like, where are we going with this? Because we have this guy that just took 33 films, and the more and more that we branch off from this, we're gonna see how much of his vision was encapsulated in those films. I don't know. Was it 33, 29, something like that? Whatever it was.
Are we really at like 33 movies now?
I have no idea. It's a lot, but like I'm just thinking like Morbius has come out, Eternals has come out, this one's come out. Are those the 3 cents? And then Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
And I'm kind of like Spider-Man. I'm kind of shoving off to the side because I'm like, all right, like Toby and Andrew Garfield came in, and we got all the like. Everyone from when I was a kid to like all the kids now that have seen, even just the first 2 with Mysterio, and everyone can get behind that one. So it's not too hard to nail that one.
Yeah.
All you got to do is have those guys in it, and it's like, holy shit. So the 3 that I've heard of so far have not been very good. I don't want to say it like that. To MCU standards. All right, and especially after Endgame comes out, and you got Infinity War and Endgame, which are probably top 5 on everyone's list.
Yeah, as far as MCU, probably.
Quality, storyline, the
big payoff,
cinematography, exactly. I mean, everything that you're looking for. You could watch Endgame every time, and I don't know how much more you could want from it.
Yeah.
So now you got this stuff kind of coming in, and it's a whole nother like building back up. Like you just came down and now we're going back up. So it's like, but Doctor Strange is a sequel. So I don't know.
It's a sequel, but it's not a sequel at the same time because it almost has nothing to do with the first Doctor Strange, except for the fact that Doctor Strange is in it and Mordo is in it, kind of, and Wong a little bit.
Supposed to be. I mean, I think I'm kind of like figuring it's kind of like Captain America and the Winter Soldier, where it's his kind of plight. So it's not necessarily like we're still it's just on this.
It's just the character's continuation.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm kind of thinking with him. So the good that I liked about this, I think there was a couple fun scenes. I mean, like the Illuminati was fun. I don't know, zombie Doctor Strange. There was a couple times I laughed, but other than that, like because there's only like a maximum of 2 people on set the whole time, you got to like both of them. And Doctor Strange, Cumberbatch really holds his own. He always will. It's a very entertaining character.
He's my favorite part of the film by far.
No one else has any chops whatsoever at any point. No. Rachel McAdams is some damsel in distress. I mean, she's in distress, or she's like supposed to be, helping him out, but it's still the same chick in any universe you go into. America Chavez wasn't all that great. Wong was Wong, and he's kind of.
I liked Wong.
I mean, he's funny. Don't get me wrong. He's just kind of like he's limited. He's one dimensional. See what you did there. Now that is fucking good.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah. That's don't hurt your shoulder, man. Patting yourself on the back.
Ooh. I gotta get some ice.
But it's. At that point, if the characters aren't that strong, you're really relying on the effects and kind of like what's happening in there, and the fact
you're
that
kind of hoping other stuff makes up for other lackluster elements.
And here, like, dude, Wanda's taking down the multiverse, not just the universe or America. It's the whole fucking your brain's collapsing because she can't get to her 2 kids, and there is relatability. And after reading some of the stuff today, I definitely like her plight a lot more. From what I was given credit to with her emotional, I figured it was kind of like a one-dimensional, but when you kind of read up on, her grief and what she's going through, you have to kind of remember what's transpired in her life up to that point to turn her into the Scarlet Witch, makes it a little bit stronger. But like at that point, it's like, let's not have it be the multiverse then, because as people, we are not going to be like you can crumble the whole fucking.
It's very unrelatable.
Yeah, a concept that we're so foreign to. Like
any form of tension is like just wiped away.
Yeah, and I think people could like a little bit, but once again, I don't think the multiverse. You do the universe or America again, and it's like, oh shit, like she's gonna take out the world. Like I could be like, oh yeah, I could get behind that. She's that pissed, but like, and I don't. So we'll see. So for the good, I don't know. I thought it was entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that there's just limited screen time with everyone.
I can't say I was ever bored, unlike Eternals. I wanted to fall asleep so many times. This movie, it had my full attention.
It's continuing, right? It was going.
Yeah.
Everywhere you went to, it was going. So it was progressing towards that end. There was a meaning towards the end, but I just, with how disjointed it was, schlocky editing,
very messy,
and it's just it doesn't. That's why I like. And when I say it's like a 2020 film, it's almost like defending it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't knock this one because they shot this at a bad time, and in the world's timeline. So like, of course it's going to be a little schlocky, bad editing, reshoots. You're going to have all the problems that you naturally would have with the film, especially one with this high of a budget. Like, they're like, if they started in 2020 and did any sort of filming and had to maintain some of that, and then you prolong it into 2021 and you got all these the differences in casting, or everyone working on other projects and trying to figure out like, how do we get everyone together? Like, I could see why this was a mess. I want to say it's a mess, but like,
it was a mess. It was a mess.
So I'm not gonna. I liked it. I enjoyed it, and I'd probably throw it on again, and I would have I'd still have enjoyment and watch it, and there's a lot going on with it, but the good is just a little, it's not like it's, well, I don't want to defend it. It's where it's at.
It's where it's at.
Yeah.
We can get into our ratings now.
Yeah.
What would you rate it?
7. I got done out of there, and I just gave it a 7. I was like, it's 6 for me is like, when you get onto a 6, it's, you're mediocre, so it's like slightly above that, but it definitely did not. I don't think there was anything worth merit to give it an 8 or a 9.
I would say I'm in the same exact boat. I give this a 7.
Yeah,
7 out of 10. Slightly more unique than a lot of the factory-made MCU stuff, especially nowadays, with the exception of No Way Home, maybe. But it is really messy. Some of the acting was really bad. The effects were hit or miss, and I just thought it could have been a little more tight. So
100%. Yeah, this dragged out. There's a couple things that probably did not have to be introduced, or that battle with her on top of the fucking temple did not need to happen.
I liked it when she was like really unhinged and chasing them through like the hallways, and like she had like what looked like blood on her face, and like she was limping. Like that is very like Sam Raimi. That was towards the
end though, right?
Movie. Like the last half.
Yeah, because she got into the fight with the Illuminati. It was like right after that or during that.
It was right after that.
Yeah, that was pretty. I mean, I
really liked that scene,
and she was good. Wanda was good. I mean, there's
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah,
I really like her as an actress. I think she's talented.
So you got a 7 out of 10.
Yes,
that's what you're.
Yep, good old 7 Roni. 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. I wasn't a 5.
No,
but it wasn't a 5 that went to a 3, which
is
something that happens in Boiling Point.
You're like juiced to talk about this. Like, we're like, fuck Doctor Strange. Let's move it.
I think we're moving on, dude.
We have to.
I have to rant a little bit before we get into the film itself.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
So I texted you yesterday about this.
Yeah.
But basically, I like to use Prime, Amazon Prime. If it's not on any other streaming service that I have access to, I'll go to Amazon Prime and I will rent it. And then I like to cast it to my TV because I don't like watching a movie on my desktop or my phone if I can help it. I will if I have to, ultimately, but I much prefer watching it on my TV if I can. For some reason now, well, not for some reason, I know the reason. When I go to Amazon Prime Video, the app on my phone, and I go to a movie that I either have to rent or buy and I click on it, it doesn't have the options on the app anymore for me to rent and buy it from there. It only has this button that says, how do I watch this? And so I click the how do I watch this button, and it brings up this message that says, rent or buy at Amazon.com to watch in the Prime Video app. I'm like, what the fuck? This wasn't an issue before. So then I go to the website, I rent the movie from Amazon Prime's website through the browser, not through the app, but through the browser, in hopes that it will appear in my library so I can access it from there and then cast it to my TV. I go into the app, It's not in the library. So I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? I just paid $4.99 for fucking nothing.
Right.
And so luckily I didn't start the movie yet because I could get a refund on it. And then I had to go into Google Play. I couldn't remember my password to buy the stupid thing. Like, it was a whole thing. Basically what happened was, apparently with Android users, and this is only with Android users for some reason, they have some issue with Google Play now. There's like some sort of weird like copyright thing going on where you can't rent or buy movies from the Prime app if you have an Android device. Like, you can do it on iPhone. That's totally fine.
Right.
But for some reason, Android, they were just like, yeah, fuck you. And it's not like a glitch or anything.
Well,
like
they don't have a deal or a partnership with them then.
No. Like, they literally just removed it as a feature because of their whole conflict with Google Play.
Yeah.
Like, it's so anti-consumer and so unintuitive and just ass backwards from what it should be. It's so anti-consumer. Like, I pay a fucking Amazon Prime membership.
Yeah. So
I can have this as a means, as a direct and simple means to watch movies that I want to, even if I have to fucking pay for it. Like, why is it giving me this bullshit runaround now? Like, why am I even paying for this if it's just going to be so unintuitive? Like, it's fucking horse shit. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm like, yeah. So you don't want to get a Roku or anything like that?
I had a Roku, but I don't know what happened to it.
Oh. Well, you know they're only like $20-$30.
I know. And I did manage to access Google Play so that I could watch it from there, and I paid like the same price that I would have on Prime. Like, it ended up working out.
Right.
Thankfully.
It's
just so annoying when there's a movie and I know I can access it, but for some reason it just won't let me. Because of some like big corporation clusterfuck. They
didn't shake hands on it. There was I was trying to watch sports on something like I had the NFL Network or NBA or something like that, and you can't. Xfinity has it with everything. You can watch it on your TV, but for some reason, if you get this sports app, you can't log into your Xfinity account because Xfinity and the league haven't agreed to terms on anything. Mm-hmm. So you can watch it through the browser because Comcast is shaking on it or whatever it is, or your TV, but you can't watch it on the app itself. Like, it's
so stupid.
It's the world we live in. I'll just say that, where everything's at your fingertips when it's not. It's kind of like, what the fuck? And then you just realize it's two old guys shitting in each other's beds. Like,
I know. And maybe I'm a little too wound up about it. Maybe it's just me, like, because 5 years ago, I didn't have Amazon Prime. I didn't have Netflix. I didn't have like all these things that I have access to now.
Old man Kyle.
I'm someone who is a proponent of having easy access to different forms of art and different types of media that I would like to have access to. Like, I'd gladly pay for this shit if it would physically let me, but it just did not. Because it's so unintuitive and anti-consumer. I just can't stand it.
Get them. Yeah, I don't. There's other medians to it, so I understand the frustration.
Yes.
It would suck if that was your only way of doing it, but like,
right.
At some point, you probably have to bite the bullet and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how long I have this Prime membership for.
They're gonna miss you, man.
But they're totally gonna fucking. Their whole business just collapses just because some asshole from West Michigan unsubscribes from their service.
Get them. Let's lead the charge. Fuck Amazon. No, I don't want to say that actually because yeah.
They're probably listening right now.
Well, it's gonna be them and Disney in about 30 years. So
Yep, pretty much. Demolition Man. It's not all Taco Bell. It's all Amazon and Disney. So my rage is kind of in line with the the themes of this movie in a way. So let's talk about it. So,
dude, let's do Boiling Point.
Did you want to give a synopsis?
Yeah. I'll do it.
Awesome.
So you want me to do the synopsis and then how it got brought up, or do we want to do how it got brought up and then synopsis?
Do synopsis first.
All right. So Boiling Point. Oh wow! I just put spelled it BOLI.
Boiling Point.
Yeah. Boiling Point is a movie directed by Philip Barantini.
Looks like it.
Okay, and it was written by Philip Barantini, and I believe there was James Cummings, and he assisted with some of it. So this was a short film that came out in 2019.
Yeah, it also had Stephen Graham in that too, right?
Yep, 22 minutes, and so I don't really know. I'm guessing it had some sort of one scene where, you know, either probably the ending or the beginning. They either knew how they were it was starting out or how it was gonna end. Mm-hmm. So Stephen Graham's in this, and it was a short film that they brought. So Philip Barantini must have got a little bit more money, and then James Cummings, I think, came on to help shore up some of the script. You know,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what it is we are in the life of not even you want to say in the life of Stephen Graham, but
it's a day in the life.
Kind of, but it's more of like the restaurant itself, and you're kind of following some of the actions that really it's like the actions of what Stephen Graham does as Chef Andy. Andy Jones. They just call him Andy though, Chef Andy.
Yeah.
And essentially what it is Chef Andy runs this restaurant. Well, he's the head chef in the restaurant, and I don't remember what it was called.
Let me verify this. Jones and Sons.
Jones and Sons.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's kind of like ununique.
Yeah, I don't remember that being the name, but
I don't either. They must have been. It must have been on like one of the. They had to have had a shot of a menu or something.
Yeah,
right?
either that or it was like a quick like line in passing. There's a lot of dialogue in this film.
There is a lot of dialogue, and he's Scottish, so I mean, you get the thick fucking Scottish. Like I had to turn the subtitles on.
That's
like,
right.
I was gutting it out the first 5 minutes. I was like, "There's no way I'm going through 90 minutes of this." Mm-hmm. So, anyways, it's a day in the life of Chef Andy as he goes into Jones and Sons, and he's going to work with his team in the front of the house on how they're going to prep for one of the busier days of the year, the Friday before Christmas, and learning about some of the famous people that not famous, but I mean
important characters.
Yeah, definitely for marketing purposes on what I presume is what happens in real life with restaurants. Mm-hmm. Like you really have to go off of word of mouth as opposed to like being able to just say hop on in, you know. Yep. So you go through and you kind of get to see some of his actions and how they impact the rest of the crowd. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, that's kind of the synopsis. It is. Well, we don't even have. First things first. The guy that was supposed to be on this on the episode today,
the guest,
yeah, whoever. No, there was scheduling conflicts. Love you, Sam. No, we had something come up. So I have my son with me for about I think 17 days. You know, some presents up here. And then Sam's got recruiting stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So it was just scheduling conflicts. We couldn't make it happen. So this was kind of last second. I think on Friday we were texting and it just turned into what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And, another podcast that I listen to that I really enjoy. I didn't listen to the episode on it, but I just saw that they put Boiling Point on there. And I was like, this is the second time I've heard about this film within the last week. Mm-hmm. And Sam explained it to me. He told me that Scott Graham's in it, and I really liked him. Or Stephen Graham?
Yeah, Stephen Graham.
Yeah, Stephen Graham. I'm thinking of the Scottish accent.
Yeah.
He's from Snatch and Band of Brothers. And
okay.
He's in a couple other films.
Not super familiar with his work.
He's like a middling character always. I don't think he doesn't really hold it down, but he definitely leaves his mark on a film when he's in it. I think he's a good secondary character.
Yeah. Which
was kind of refreshing because guys like that, when they get their own shot, sometimes knock it out of the ballpark.
Yeah, they step it up.
Oh yeah, and like you kind of see that he's got a lot of acting chops. He just plays with the roles that he's been given.
Yeah.
And so this is the second time I saw it, and I was like, I was going through like, hey, like let's like trying to figure out what we could watch, and it was like, let's just pull the trigger on this. I've heard it's now popped up twice. I didn't even see the reviews. I just know it was like a 7 or 7.5 on IMDb, and I was like, let's just fucking do it because this has got my attention, and it's supposed to be a stressful environment in the cooking world. And yeah, so yeah, Kyle, what were your thoughts?
So this is probably the most tension I felt watching a movie since Uncut Gems, I would say.
Yeah.
Like I like to think of this movie, Uncut Gems, and Whiplash as like the unholy trilogy of just being uncomfortable while watching a film, purposefully uncomfortable while watching a film. I loved it.
There we go.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, there we go.
I think that it was shot in a really stylistic and interesting way. Like it's shot all in like one take, or it's made to look like it's shot in one take. There could be like some editing stuff.
Did you read up on that at all?
So I know they originally wanted to do 8 takes of the film, right? But they had like time constraints with like COVID lockdown and stuff, so they could only really do like 1, right?
4.
They did 4. Okay.
They did 4 takes, so I don't know how they spliced it, but like
I think there's some like editing. It's like a minor criticism I can get into later, but like I think there's some editing stuff with like characters walking through doors where they like they kind of like warp stabilize and like splice it together a little bit, like some editing tricks that I kind of noticed. But like other than that, like
4 takes is pretty remarkable.
It's pretty seamless. Like they went for it and they really effectively did it. Like the filmmaking itself, like all the technical aspects, I think rocked. I really liked the ambiance, like the background music playing during Christmas time. Like I thought it was so atmospheric and really effective. I thought all the acting was amazing. Like it felt like all the characters were just real people in a work environment that was super stressful.
Yeah.
Like these people are people that I feel like exist in places all around the world.
Do you ever watch it? Like you're watching a film and they kind of touch on the character, and then he's in his work mode, but obviously it's like something else is going on, and you're never like, man, like that dude just had a shit day. He had a flat tire, somehow made it to work, and like you're like, oh, he missed out on breakfast. Like I wonder how he's doing emotionally. But then you're not going to touch on that because it doesn't fit into the storyline. Like they did it in this one.
Yeah,
and
that would be that guy.
Yeah.
That is the stranger that you just pass on the street on any given day, having just a shit day.
Yeah.
And it just focuses on him. But it also focuses on like a lot of the other characters in the restaurant too.
They
like
all
the
have. I mean, that's what I'm.
The staff, like I feel like they all get like a good amount of screen time to sort of like tell you who they are and like give you glimpses into their life and their personalities.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and you get to see what it's like.
Super engrossing.
Well, I mean, like it'd be like at Sam's Club. Like if you were walking around and they did that at Sam's, like you know that would be how it goes at Sam. Like you run into someone, and obviously you're living in that world with what you're talking to that person about. But when they walk away and you walk away, they're muttering something and you're muttering something, not necessarily about that conversation or that person, but it could just be like, "Fuck, man, I got to go back. I got to deal with this asshole." Like no one ever touches on that. You never get to see kind of that microcosm. Or I don't want to say it like that. The micro events that happen within that industry or within that day, you know. And in this one, they get to focus on it.
They get into the good details of it. I really enjoyed this film. I was sitting there and my heart was pounding. I was like, oh, these characters are doing things that are they're realistic and they're so acted well. Like the scene that stands out to me the most is the scene where the girl just tells the manager off. Like she tells the manager girl off.
Yeah.
Like one of the
Beth.
chefs behind the
Carly
counter.
and Beth get into it.
Yeah. Carly just rips into Beth the entire time, and like Beth is just staring at her, and you can see that she's like visibly shaken up by it. And then she just has to like blurt out some line that just says, "She talks to me like that again, she's gone." And then you see her like walk into the bathroom and she has like this horrible breakdown. She calls her dad. She's like, "People don't like me here. I don't think I know what I'm doing." And obviously I'm like bastardizing it because it's like a really good performance.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that there's like this shaking in her voice, like this like emotions that she's broken to the core, you know, about, because she puts up like this sort of presentation of herself that she's like in control and
false
like she
bravado.
Exactly. Like she has like authority over everybody, but then when you break it down, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing and the mask is pulled away. Like I thought that was super compelling.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this film. I mean, I think I like the fact that it focuses, like Stephen Graham's character, like Andy is the main character. Like he's the central focus, but it also like it pans around and it gives you like these glimpses into, like the camera will move a certain way following a character and you think it's going to stay on that character, but then it shifts over and it looks at like, oh, this character's like going out to take the trash. He's going to someone's car and they're like talking about whatever.
Yeah.
And
I was trying to figure out, I didn't know what the hell that one was about.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I liked it because it felt like in line with the themes of the movie and like the the whole like goal that it was going for. And then
I thought they were going to create a subplot, and it just
no, it was more to showcase like him as a character and like the restaurant atmosphere and the different situations that could happen. And then it follows him back in, and then it like goes back to that original character that it was on before. And I thought that was super effective filmmaking. Like I'm very impressed with it. Very impressed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't know what we were gonna be in store for. I did hear that it was one shot. I think Sam might have mentioned that to me. Or I mean, I knew Stephen Graham. I knew the guy from Snatch was in it. So like we talked about Stephen Graham, and I was like, oh, he's got like a bulldog attitude, and like the other films I've seen him in, you know, and he's kind of got like that stout face.
Yeah,
you know,
he's got that like short stature.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he looks like a guy like he'd get drunk at a bar and like poke you in the chest.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of got resting bitch face a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, he looked tired. You want to talk about looking tired?
Yeah. Well, I liked that too. The fact that he just looked like he was stressed.
Oh my god!
During the entire time.
Yeah. Well,
palpable.
Oh shit! And I didn't even know where it was. So I didn't know I didn't hear the phone conversation because he's talking to that super thick Scottish accent, and I didn't have the subtitles on, so I don't know. It sounded like he was talking to his wife, ex-wife, someone, and it was about his son and trying to figure something out. But I couldn't. All I knew that he kept saying was Tara, Tara, Tara.
He was leaving. I think he was leaving a message on like his wife or his ex-wife's phone.
Yeah,
and he was like saying how like he feels super sorry, and like you could tell he's panicked, and he's like saying that. And then he like switches to a message for his son. He's like, I love you. I'm sorry. Like tell him that I love him. Tell him that I love him. Mm-hmm. And like he goes into the restaurant, and then it goes from there. That's pretty much what I picked up from it. And then it comes back later, like towards the end of the movie when he's talking to his wife on the phone. Like it's not him leaving a message. It's talking to her. And like he's talking about like his problems and like his lack of sobriety and like his substance abuse and all this stuff, and you realize just how not together this guy has it. Like,
dude, so it's funny. It was at the beginning of the film. I really didn't know where it was going to go. I had no idea. I was just kind of like, we're going to be in the day in the life. Like, and I felt stressed, but it never felt like it was like crazy. But like, I also don't know what it's like to maintain a 5-star restaurant. Mm-hmm. A 3-star at that point, and like keeping up with everyone, because it's kind of like the fanciest place I've ever eaten is a Logan's. So like, your food's like 20 minutes late. Like, hey, like it's just a bad tip.
Hey man, sorry.
Yeah, and it's like
that's all you're gonna get.
Like, you just got knocked down $2 or so. Sometimes it's not their fault, but you know what I'm saying.
Sometimes.
So like the stress that he's feeling, mm-hmm. and I don't know how relatable that was until about halfway to about 3/4 through the film. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, oh shit, like this is like life's on the line.
Yeah. And I like the fact too that it focuses on other characters, because even if you don't connect with his stress or his like anxiety throughout the film, you can still connect to other characters throughout the movie that are going through these different plights. Like if you're someone who connects to the waitress who's dealing with like a racist customer, or if you're mm-hmm. someone who can connect with the fact that, oh, these assholes have come in and they're saying they're influencers when they probably only have like 2,000 followers on Instagram.
That's what I was those were the ones I was like, all right, like how much did you do to fucking figure this one out?
Yeah.
Text my ex. He came in 3rd place. He's an influencer.
Yeah. Like it's very relatable because of the fact that it follows all these different characters, and the fact that you can attach yourself to like so many different points of conflict. Like I'm sure there's been a moment in a lot of people's lives where they've been chewed out, like Carly did with Beth, or I'm sure there's a lot of moments where people have dealt with racism or like these bullshit influencers. Like no matter what your position is in this movie or like in life, this movie I think can reflect a decent amount
100%.
of it.
Don't care about the job you're at. You're doing it to score money for
exactly.
weed.
Yep.
You got the other chick that was there because she was pregnant. Obviously she needs it, mm-hmm. To get by. It's like a lot of real timey problems that it wasn't like saving the multiverse, It was kind of like this is kind of what it's like to be in this world.
Like this is these movies I really like because the stakes are so personal. I wouldn't say they're low stakes. I get it. Anyway.
You got the one. We'll cut that in post.
I might leave it in. Who knows? But I wouldn't say the stakes are low. The stakes are personal. The stakes are still high. It's just not world ending. It's just people's livelihoods and people's emotions and their mental well-being.
Well, you say not world ending, but it could have been world ending to one of them.
Well, yeah. The girl with the peanut allergy.
Yeah.
The nut allergy, I should say, not just peanuts.
Were you paying attention to that at all? Like,
so,
did you try to pick up dialogue, or were you watching to see?
That is probably like one of my only criticisms of the movie, I would say, a little bit, is they point out the fact that she has a nut allergy, like from the moment that you see her character. Mm-hmm. And the boyfriend tells them like, oh yeah, she has a nut allergy, and she reinforces that she has a nut allergy. And then they go and they like, all right guys, table 13, no nuts, nut allergy. Why wasn't it brought up in the system? I don't know, but we're saying it now, no nuts. I couldn't help but like for sure 100% know that they were going to have an issue with that later. Like it was a point of conflict that I knew was coming because of the fact that they reinforced it so much.
Chekhov's gun or like something like
like you wouldn't mention the fact that you wouldn't reinforce the fact that she has a nut allergy unless it was going to be an issue later. And I wouldn't have had as much of an issue with it if they only mentioned it like maybe once or something, and then like go to another perspective and they deal with something while they're reinforcing the fact that she can't have nuts. Like I would have been okay with that, but the fact that they like hammer it home to you as an audience member that, hey, she has a nut allergy, I couldn't help but feel like I was like, yep, saw that coming when the moment happened.
Yeah.
And it was still an effective scene. Like the acting was good and like the tension in it was good. The fact that I just saw it coming kind of took some of that tension away.
Well, and so it is kind of, because I was a little torn on it because I was trying to pay attention and say like, all right, like they're using this as a vehicle. And when I was like, I'm trying to pay attention to see if they use it, and they do talk about it, and like they had dialogue that kind of, and the one when she says it, they're actually the camera's coming up when they were getting to that like, all right, table 13, no nuts, like there's at one point she was kind of in the background like dishes coming out, get it, make sure. So I would say it would be almost the way it was used though, and the fact that it's not, it's used as another stepping stone.
Yeah.
Almost, which is
kind of a purpose.
Yeah, that's why I kind of give it a pass. I was about to say, like, would you have liked it more if it was a red herring?
No, I wouldn't have. See, I liked the fact that it's in the movie. I like the fact that it's included because it is another moment of tension and another stepping stone to something greater, that being Andy's breakdown later in the movie. Yeah. Like adding up to all these different things. I just think that they could have been more subtle about foreshadowing it a little bit.
Sure.
Like, because there's a lot of good, like, subtle dialogue and things that allude to other things in this movie. Like the fact that they don't like the critic's wife because otherwise she might write a bad review, or like the racist customer towards the black waitress. Like, I thought that stuff was done subtly enough to where we as an audience member could pick up on it because we're so invested in it. And I thought that they could have easily dropped like one line about her being allergic to nuts, and we would have been able to pay attention, and that would have carried forward. Yeah,
I'm not gonna. Yeah, because I don't think. And honestly, it's probably like, in the grand scheme of things, very, very minute.
It's it's
because it's like
a pretty nitpicky thing, I would say, for me to like touch on, but I feel like I have to. It's literally like one of my only criticisms.
I was about to say, and they did. I was hoping that they were. There's two things. One was either a red herring, or two, that they fucked it up.
Right.
I was really hoping, because I couldn't remember what table it was, and I thought it'd be even more impressive instead of. Well, I mean, the nice thing though, I will say this, is that it does lead to a point. Like, it wraps in very fluidly, and it does. And with everything that's going on, it raises the tension even more, because it's not even, obviously you're dealing with that situation, and then something else even on a grander scale comes in.
Yep.
And it's insane, like what they build up to on just a fucking one night of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I love its inclusion, like I said.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just gonna say I was really hoping that they do like so it was table 13. I was hoping they'd do like, all right, no nuts, table 4.
Oh, like kind of mess up the table number.
Yeah, because of the stress that's going on, and you're starting to see a little bit of the unraveling with Andy going on. But they do it even in a more subtle fashion that you don't even, because then when he starts talking to everyone, and they kind of go through, and then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, and then, well, the best part is, so like that, I don't know if I want to talk about the water bottle.
Like him just sipping on that water bottle the whole time? Uh-huh.
I never even thought about it. I was like, he just always looks like he's sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't think about it until then, like when everything was like right close, like right before a half, like the racist guy, like so Robin was in there, and then they switched over to, I don't remember, Andrea, I think maybe was her name.
Andrea.
They switched over to Andrea, and I was like, like I knew that was coming right away.
Yeah.
Like as soon as, and then he was just being a fucking prick to be a prick. I thought he was being a prick to Robin too, but like.
No, they were very like distinctly nice to Robin, like opposite of Andrea.
Oh, they treated her like, and then the worst one is when he brings the plate out and he goes, "What's this?" And he's like, "It was just because she touched it." That's why he wiped. I was like,
he used the term "you people."
Oh yeah,
when he was talking to her.
That was
such a piece of shit.
That was so bad. I think that made me the most uncomfortable because you really at any point don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. That I loved the unpredictability of it. Like I could not tell where this movie was going at all,
even by the end of it.
And that just made the tension even greater for me. Like I thought it was so well done. Much like that lamb.
The what?
It was well done, the lamb.
Yeah, wow.
Well,
that's how you fucking cook lamb. Oh, they were so pissed. I really wanted Freeman to go out there and like.
Oh yeah,
he might have been my favorite character, and they don't even get to touch. They didn't even do anything with him.
He was very compelling. I liked his character a lot because he was a good foil to Andy. Like Andy starts off strong. He like starts out like kind of like asserting kind of his dominance and like yelling at people, getting on them about like washing their hands in the wrong places and stuff. But then Freeman comes in and he's like, you can tell he's much more passionate and much more put together than Andy is.
Yeah.
Like he has a lot more of his faculties going on, and that gives him the ability to talk back at Andy, and you believe it. Like,
100%.
It's not like it's unjustified.
Every time, that's a great way of putting it. Because every time he spoke up or was going to do something, I was like, this dude's got
he's got something to say.
Yeah, and like he's there. Everything's right there, and he's just doing it probably because he's a younger dude just looking to make his way up, and he's getting in on I mean, obviously, this restaurant was doing really well. It was kind of like, it was interesting, too, because they got the health inspector that comes in. And, this is right at the beginning of the film, too, but he drops it down 2 stars, which is insane. And I guess maybe that's how it works. But I was doing it more of like, it's hard to even, like, it's funny, too, because, like, they use Alistar's fucking, like, this guy knows what he's talking about, so we as an audience member have to believe it. But like it looks like a bar that they're at. It's kind of smoothed up. I mean, it's well taken care of, and it's like simple meal, simple.
Yeah,
and they're
simple menu.
Obviously doing it because it's all actors. They got 4 takes to get this down, and if you're gonna have like realistically looking cooked food, like let's make sure it's lamb, like something that's probably.
Yeah,
easy, and like, but they make it like the peel, and everything going on with it is so clean and crisp. That's why it's a 5-star, like, and you believe it. I mean, it's churched up. It looks great.
Yeah, I really liked the setting and the environment. It looked really realistic. Like I could see myself like sitting in a restaurant like that. Maybe not that restaurant because it's probably ass expensive, but
that's darling, I'm paying £200 for a fucking wine. I'm not gonna sit here and pound it. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with this dude?
Yeah, God. So what did you think of Alistar and the fact that like, I feel like they clearly like were kind of poking fun a little bit at Gordon Ramsay.
100%.
Like I legit 100%. Thought it was Gordon Ramsay.
I did too
when I first saw him.
It's so funny when he comes in there. Well, when he comes in, so I have like my weird like. I can't remember anything on a dime, but like if I see a picture of something, I can go into like a 6-minute story.
Yeah.
That dude, I haven't seen that dude in anything except The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which came out in 2001. So it's been 21 years since I've seen him.
Who was he in that?
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
As soon as I saw him, I go, oh, that's the guy from League of, like, I haven't seen that dude in 21 years. And as soon as he walked in there, I was like, oh, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Wow.
Like, my fucking memory is so toast. Like, that's what kind of makes me upset. Like, I wish I knew math equations as opposed to, like, he just popped on screen. I saw him, and I was like, that's the guy. And it was within 3 seconds. He did the profile shot. I could just see the hair on his neck. And I was like, it's got to be a fucking discount Gordon Ramsay.
It looked very much like him. They purposefully done him up to make him look like Gordon Ramsay. And I've seen enough clips of Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen and all Gordon Ramsay's shows.
Yeah.
To tell that that's what they were going for. Because Gordon Ramsay's like a taller fellow. He wears that same exact type of outfit.
Yeah.
He's got the same type of hairstyle.
Maybe who's the other guy that used to travel around? Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain.
Rest in peace.
I bet you it almost feels like a mixture of those two guys. Because I can see Anthony Bourdain wearing that like...
Oh, yeah, that kind of like sort of V-neck over the T-shirt, like rolled up sleeve sort of thing.
Nothing too complicated, real clean looking though, you know, kind of could probably walk into any restaurant and fit in. There's nothing like, you know, you're not looking at that guy going like, that's the guy, you know? So I didn't, No, you're good. I just, I thought it was really funny how they did that. And they painted him as like such an asshole. Like he was so like up his own ass about like being a food critic, and he's like, yeah, it's simple, right? That's the thing with it. It's simple. Like describing food as if it's like some kind of piece of literature. Well, that's like I at one point, and I really, you know, every time I watch these things, it's kind of like, well, coming back to society and where we're at as humans, like it's kind of insane that, you know, we got people that get paid shit ton of money to go into a restaurant and taste food.
I loved it. It was a good criticism on food criticism.
Yeah.
And how just flowery it is and how a lot of it is just so vapid.
Well, like, I mean, like, and I don't know how much of that's true, but I mean, like, you get in with the critics. Like, he obviously got in with her and was trying to, well, and then you find out he's got ulterior motives. So, like, the whole time he's like, we're here, we're on your side, we're on your, you know, come on, mate, we're on your, you know, whatever. Yeah. Like, we're here, and then you really find out he's got like
$250,000 invested into this fucking restaurant.
I don't even know if it was, I don't know if it was that or if he at some point maybe he gave him $200,000 to start that up. Had to have been, right? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
But because
I can't picture what else it would have been.
Because he kept going, I don't have the money. He goes, I don't have the money. It's like, well, yeah, you do. It's right here. You're living in it. Like you get that. Like, I don't understand how. And that's why he's like, I can't give you a. So he must have just wrote him a check without asking for any return. Like, that had to have been how that conversation went.
Yeah, it was probably at a point in his life where Alistar was, like, way more better off, and he had, like, all this money to, like, burn through. He's like, yeah, sure, I like you.
See, like,
I'll give you all this money. And then, like, he's in financial hardships, like, during the events of the movie.
It's funny, dude. If you really think about it, they don't even touch on how, like, you could, with Andy, seeing Andy, you could pin, like, that money could have went anywhere, honestly. Like, it doesn't even have to get into that restaurant.
Yeah.
Because he got a partnership with someone else. And if it was like 70-30, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I was trying to think of like where that money came from because he kept alluding to it. But by the end of when he's saying, like, I got $200,000 in here, it was pretty much him going like, you're signing that fucking paperwork saying we're like, I'm investing. Like, that's kind of where it got to. That's why, like, he started freaking out.
Yeah.
You know, by the end of it, because that guy was just, he was doing what he always did to Andy, you know?
Just so overbearing. And
yeah. Or you could have a shit chef with a great team.
Totally
like,
just
staring at him.
Fucking, just absolutely playing mind games.
Which was funny, too, because if you listen to those comments, he goes, you could have a mediocre chef with a good team, and it'll make, like, the chef look good. And then, like, in a way of, like, twisting the words, he goes, or you could have a shit chef with a great team.
Yeah, that was totally a jab at him.
Well, yeah, but if you really think about it, both the comments are, like, the same way. It's like, all right, mediocre or bad. Like, it wasn't
they
like
mean the same thing, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, oh, like, he's just throwing it back at him. I was like, I don't even know if that was really like a slight.
He just wants to have a jab.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Do you think he was the brains and then that guy was the charisma?
Oh, I think so. Just
Like
based on like their
100
characters and like how they interacted. And
That's probably why he was going down the shitter, because he couldn't cook, and you know,
just the dynamic of it all, like between the two. Like
an
you could tell that
overbearing on Andy, so
one was all style, one was all substance.
yeah.
And it just the clashing of those was very compelling to watch. I
So, well, and that's one of the things. So I went on to Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't really do it, but I was trying to couldn't find trivia on it. You know, it's like you going on to IMDb, and it says, it's funny because you go on to IMDb, they have like 3 little snippets about like the trivia, and I think 2 of them are the same, like meant to do 8 shots, ended up being 4. Like,
yeah, there's not a whole lot of production details about this movie.
Nothing. Like, and then so you go into it, and then if you type in there's a 2019 boiling point, so you click on that, and then you go, oh, this is the short, and it's got the same fucking synopsis. So I was like, oh, I want to find out some more information. So I went on and I was kind of reading over some of the reviews and whatnot, and then I wanted to read. There's a couple bad ones. So I read over one of the bad ones, and one of them was the shooting of the film, the one take.
Interesting. They just didn't like the style.
So, and I kind of was like, oh, I guess I could kind of, and it depends on it. Some people do it just to be like that person, like, whatever. I'm gonna be the ones, because now you're gonna remember even though I don't, but remember my name, because I just wanted to read whatever they had to say. But the interesting point, I never really thought about it, was with the one shot, you're glued to a character as we progress through their, through the timeline. And it takes away from the focal point of what's going on in other characters' lives, because you can't just quickly cut back to a certain, wherever you want to be at.
Yeah.
Like if we were following Beth, and then you see Andy walk by and he goes up to the table, and we follow Beth, and then Beth goes to the back, all of a sudden you can cut back to Andy. Now you can create tension with maybe Beth's doing something in the back where she's trying to, like add more people in, or fit, whatever it is, and I thought it was kind of an interesting way of, I never thought about the camera work like that, but this is it's almost like a play-esque, and the fact that some of the tension gets maybe diluted a little bit when you go, and honestly, I don't really think that. I'm just kind of bringing this up as like a little bit of contrarian. And I think the only time that I ever experienced that was when that guy went to the back alley. Like, he was the only guy that I did not care for. I didn't like. And I'm like, I just worked with people like that, so I don't need to see like what that guy does, because I know, I know more guys that are like that than not.
Yeah.
So like, you don't need to fucking give me his plate.
I think I kind of disagree with that sentiment, because I think, for me, the fact that it is one, like it looks like one shot and it's filmed like one shot, is because I think that just adds to the tension. Like, because it adds to the uncertainty of like where it could go next. Because like most movies, you could focus on a situation and then it could cut to another situation and then so on and so forth. Like with those movies, you can kind of gauge like, okay, here's like the structure of this film. Like, they'll eventually have to cut back to like this character, and then we'll find out their plight. With this movie, I could not predict what was going to happen at all, because of the way it was filmed and because of how it was like following people. Like, I didn't know who was going to get focused on in any given moment, and that sort of added to the tension for me. Like, I didn't know whether or not like different elements of the story were going to be picked up on later, or if they were just going to be like dropped off. And I liked that, because it felt like you were just a fly on the wall of like this chef, like restaurant work environment, like this food industry type thing. And I really liked it. So I think, me personally, I don't think that it would have benefited from like cutting back and forth in that sort of way compared to what it actually did in the movie. But
yeah, no, I agree. I liked it too. I didn't really, it was a unique perspective that I haven't really thought about with the one shots, that you can lose out on some of the tension with the characters, or some of that maybe development or whatever's going on. Yeah. In that world, as we focus on another character. I never really honestly thought about the one shot style like that. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, and then this is more, I can't even say it's like a play. It's obviously not like painted up 3D, or not 3D, but 2-dimensional. And I just thought it was interesting. So
it was.
I like the one shot too, and it was fun because you're almost like a poltergeist, or like you're this floating spirit, and it just it picks up. Sometimes it would walk by someone, it'd grab them, and then they'd walk by someone else, and then it'd swing right back over that way.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it latched onto whoever it wanted to, and then you're kind of with them for a little bit. And if they went somewhere, you're going with them. You know.
Absolutely. Have you seen Birdman? What did you think of? We can kind of compare the movies a little bit. No spoilers for Birdman, but like, how do you think it was done in Birdman versus this one? Do you think it's kind of like on par, or like do you think this movie did a little bit better? Because like Birdman's filmed
with the one shot,
look like one shot. Yeah.
So I would say, and then I'm gonna throw in 1917.
I was thinking about that too.
Like 1917 is probably the most impressive that I've seen, but that's just because of how well it's edited. Like, and obviously they had to do everything like you're talking about with warping and probably walking through scenes and being like, all right, wrap it, and then put them in the same spot. We'll shoot it again and splice it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Birdman was good. I liked Birdman, but I don't know. I never really got lost in that kind of that artistic venture.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lot of the time we're following Michael Keaton.
It's not as freeform as Boiling Point.
This one, I honestly felt like we were just like, here you are. You're gonna see. I kept saying it's a micro. It's like a micro cinematic. You're almost taking 2-page scenarios and just filming it, and then it's on to the next.
Yep.
You know, and it's anyone and everyone. So you really don't even know who you're latching onto, because the whole time you think you're going to be with Andy, and all of a sudden you're with Carly, and then you're with Beth, and then you're with Andrea, and Robin and her little swing pops up.
There's so much more to focus on in this movie.
And they just say you almost feel like you're just the life of the restaurant, because they got the music swelling, you got everything going on, you get to see the visuals. You could probably almost smell the shit, you know, like you're just hearing what they're cooking. And it's just, it doesn't matter where you're at any point. You know, you are the restaurant. You know, whereas Birdman, it feels like it's just following Michael Keaton and his plight. So I remember when that came out, that was kind of like the big thing. So what about you? I mean, did you?
So I think I like this movie better than Birdman. 1917, I would have to rewatch it, but I really like 1917. Very different type of movie. The only similarity is that they're shot in, or made to look like they're shot in one take. 1917, I really enjoy as just like a point A to point B movie.
Yeah.
Like just a character, like physical character journey that I think is really well done. Whereas this one is definitely more of like fly on the wall, like kind of free form, following these different characters and seeing how the tension builds.
Yeah.
Like, I think two completely different films that I like kind of on par with each other. I'd have to rewatch 1917, like I said. But
yeah, I got one. Honestly, I'd have to rewatch Birdman. It's been a while since I've seen that. I just remember it's Michael Keaton trying to fucking get this play off the ground, and it's like his one last shot at getting it right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I'd probably watch Birdman again. I remember when I watched it, I liked it. I think I gave it an 8 or a 9 out of 10.
I think I gave it an 8. I think I like The Revenant better. Inarritu's other movie. That's one of my favorites. Birdman, I liked a decent amount, though.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it. You want to get into the rating of Boiling Point, unless you had any other thing to bring up about it?
No. I mean, what was so you had a nitpick with
That was really the only like kind of criticism
then,
I had, was like the foreshadowing of the peanut thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little overhanded, I guess. Heavy-handed. That's the expression.
Overhanded?
Underhanded.
Sure. Any hand.
Softball versus baseball.
Left-handed.
Sports things.
Sport ball.
Sport ball.
And then the editing you were good with, so obviously
I didn't mind the editing as much. Like I said, there were a couple instances where I could tell, like, oh, they put like warp stabilizer in like certain shots where characters are walking through doors. Probably a point in the film where they like spliced it, but it didn't like take me out of the movie. Like it was just something that I noticed real quick, and then it was on to the next thing.
It's crazy too. So they do it in 4 shots, and then they got to just they splice all 4 shots, like figure out what they like out of each one.
Yeah,
I thought it was remarkable. I'm not gonna lie. I was talking to my lady friend, but I said the marking in this film is like, you know how incredible you have to be to fucking get the marks down.
Mm-hmm.
Because they go from spot to spot, so they set up other things. So while you're out there in the bins and he's sitting in the car, they can set up the next, whatever's going on. But like, all right, here you go. This is a second take, guys. Like, get in your fucking spot.
Yeah.
Like,
you've got to hit your mark, otherwise it's all fucked up.
Like, that's insane that they do that for 90. Like, and that's why I'm like, the other 2 films are so high budgeted. Like, they probably filmed it as many times as they wanted to and figure out how to. This one, it was like, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. 4 times. Figure out the best one, and here we go. Like, I thought that was really, it was incredible.
It's a good way to like kind of put sort of like these, I don't want to say imaginary, but imaginary constraints on yourself when you're filmmaking to sort of like meet that challenge that you set for yourself. And then it encourages creativity. And I think that's what happened with this movie.
I wonder were you ever thinking too, like how much of it is ad-libbed?
Oh, I'm sure there's a decent amount that was kind of like, I'm sure there's a script, but like I'm sure there's a decent amount that the actors threw in themselves.
Like
just
Curb Your Enthusiasm, kind of like you're going to be talking about the wine. Figure out whatever you want to talk about with it.
Yep.
You're a racist and you're the insulted waitress.
Make it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a decent amount of that.
Because
it feels like there has to be because it's so like realistic. Like the acting's so good.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're watching it. Like this film was really good. And like there are certain things, it's just hard to do that. And with as limited shots that they have, like for it to do that, I was like, I wonder how. That's why I wanted more trivia. Like, give me something. Like let me know. Like the directors were on set, and like there's like 15 pages of dialogue. Mm-hmm. Like that would be insane. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we can get into the ratings.
Sure.
For right now, I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10.
Oh,
I think it is awesome. I am excited to see it again. Definitely closer to a 10 than a 8, for sure. What would you give it, dear sweet McClain?
So I got done with the film. It's about 12 o'clock at night, feeling a little tired. Said I'm not giving this thing any fucking pity. I also gave it a 9 out of 10 with it being very close to a 10 out of 10.
Excellent.
Definitely could rewatch this one again. I don't know if I'm going to seek it out to rewatch it. I think it would be like one of those things if it's on or if I'm with someone that's like, what's a good tension movie? It's like, I'll show you one. Like you want to see realistic tension where you never feel like the stakes are too high, but they're obviously like impacting people's lives.
Yeah.
Like that's this whole time in this film, it's like, okay, I don't feel like anything's going to end or anything like that. Like nothing bad's going to happen. And like, this is stressful, but everyone works in a stressful work environment, but it just kept incrementally getting up there. And like more information gets divulged to you and you start to realize like, oh shit, it's getting deeper.
Yeah.
So that's why I really enjoyed this one, and this is a movie you could easily own and probably pop on, and like if you had to either burn 90 minutes or you got something going on, I think this could be a good background movie to have.
This is a movie I want to show people.
Yeah.
Like I want to sit down with them and watch it with them and like gauge their reactions to it. Like this is one of those movies for me.
How fast did it go for you? That's the other question too.
Oh, super fast.
Like
I mean, it helps that it's 90 minutes, but even if it was like 2.5 hours, I think it would have flew by.
Like I think I got to 50 minutes and I had to pause it to go grab something, and I was like,
you're like, shit, I'm like more than halfway through this.
Yeah,
already.
I felt bad. I was like, fuck. Like, I don't want, like, I wish I could go 20 minutes back and still be at the same point. Like, give me 20 extra more. It was pretty clean. I mean, it was like they nailed it. I hope this guy gets more work.
I hope so too. I'm really impressed. I think I'm looking forward to seeing if he like ever comes up with anything else.
Yeah, this could be it too.
Because this is a fairly new movie too. Like, came out 2021 last year. So yeah, we'll see. We'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, Philip.
We are full up on questions. Speaking of which,
Oh yeah, that's right. We got.
So
some
are
questions.
We
not gonna do it with Sam? Like that's the one thing I guess. Do you want to? Yeah,
we'll have some new questions.
Perfect
for next time. So we'll go through these ones.
Now this is gonna be fucking. I didn't realize that we were doing questions. I would not have kept going on Boiling Point. Let's go, dude. Because I love questions.
All right, our first set of questions comes from
friends of the pod.
Sam Parker.
Hey,
my boy. We'll see you again soon. His first question is
in Valhalla.
In Valhalla. The Northman. Go watch that movie if you haven't already. Yes. Is it in theaters still?
I don't know, but
I've seen some theaters like not show it because Doctor Strange.
I think it's already hitting like HBO Max or something. Like it's getting.
Dang.
You had the plight, like you were like, guys, please see this, and I was like, I didn't realize it was doing that bad in the other podcasts I listened to. I was like, they're like, the guy was saying the same thing, and I was like, damn, like man, like this sucks. It's really just
I know
not doing well. It's like it's a great film.
It really is. I'm gonna get the Blu-ray of it when it comes out.
Yeah, that'll be. Oh my god, that is like a fucking like that is a nice like fern that sits there. Like every once in a while you kind of come up and come to it and like.
I would look at it and say to myself, I'm glad I own this.
Yeah, exactly.
So his first question is worst movie coaches, and I actually have answers for these.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to think about it. So worst movie coaches, first one that comes to my mind is Will Ferrell from Kicking and Screaming.
That's a good one.
It's a childhood movie that I watched probably too many times, but
Kick It, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah. So I would say him, and then it's not a movie, but it's a TV show, and it's a very specific answer, but...
Oh, I bet you I got a feeling.
Oh, I don't know if you do.
All right, see it.
There is a character on the show, Everybody Loves Raymond, named Brian, played by the guy who voices Homer Simpson. What's his name? Brian, or not Brian, but it's like Dan Castanettis or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He plays a coach on that show, and he's like the opposite of a terrible coach that is like too strict on kids. He's like way too light and like oh, we're just having fun, like that sort of thing. And he like
let him run rampant.
He butts heads with like Raymond and Deborah and like all the other parents, and he's just way too cinnamon rolly of a coach. So yeah, those would be my two and only answers for that question, because otherwise I don't really know.
See, I wish I did. I should do it more. There are guys that are like, they're dicks, but they're kind of played to be that way. So I never, I know that's their character. Like I'm not going to pick on someone that's made to be one dimensional. Like that just like, he never had a chance.
Right.
You know, Will Ferrell, not so much. Will Ferrell had a chance and fucking just went the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's a great one. So no, I think the one that I'd probably pick out that stands out the most is the coach in Air Bud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's kind of what are we doing here?
Well,
you've got these kids
just letting a dog run around on the field.
Those kids are paying money to be on that fucking team. At least $20.
Dog ain't paying shit.
Yeah, and that's a star player. So not only are those kids paying money to not touch the ball, they're getting beat up by a dog. You imagine that's the guy that's on the bench that would have been starting. How do you think their parents felt?
Oh my god!
And that guy's like, we're in it to win it. That's a Will Ferrell comp.
It is. You're getting your ass kicked by a golden retriever.
Yeah, I think that would be about it. I can't. There's so many out there. There's a lot of bad football coaches. There's a lot of shit, dude. The Bad News Bears. You watch the Bad News Bears from Walter Matthau?
No, I didn't.
Well, you can put that one on, and that's it's questionable. Even though at the very end of it, he kind of redeems himself like a little bit. Like, how much are we letting slide with the black and milds and the drinking out of a brown paper bag while coaching? Like, especially these kids are 10, and I know that's kind of like the theme of what's going on, but still.
Yeah.
You know, how times have changed. That's a great movie to watch and be like, oh, man. And I don't even know if it was like that in the 70s, but I bet you it was one out of every 100 towns you could probably find a coach that was doing that. I don't want to say bet because I'm going to hear shit about it from everyone else. But, like, I have a feeling like it a little bit more common than when we watch it now being like, that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man. All right. His next question is best sports scene. And I wrote down some for this, too. I was prepared.
Okay.
So my first one is the wrestling scene in the first Shrek movie. It's a great sports scene.
Oh, yeah. That's sport ball all the way.
The game of Coley in the Bionicle Mask of Light movie at the end of the film is a sports scene, technically, because it's a sport in the world of Bionicle. So I wrote that down. I know you're looking at me like I'm an insane person, but I'm going to count it. And then finally, the scene in Air Bud where the kid throws a basketball at the dog and it hits him in the head.
The dog doesn't do anything?
Yeah. It's like when he's trying to show people that his dog can shoot hoops.
Oh, like the donkey in Shrek?
Yeah.
I'm a talking donkey.
Yeah. So he lobs the ball to the dog in the hopes that the dog will, like, bite at it and it'll bounce in the hoop. And then it just hits the dog in the face and then just, like, lightly bounces away. That scene is pretty funny.
Yeah, there we go. You're still getting a riot out of it.
I don't know. What about you? You'll probably have some real answers for this.
No, I don't. Oh my god, best sports scenes.
I have an actual answer that I just thought of.
What?
Cool Runnings. The end of that movie.
That's a it's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that is like my real answer.
Real answer? God, I don't even have fucking do it. I'm like sitting here trying to think. Like every time I just watch it, if I've ever been moved by a sport, I think the only thing that I've ever like We Are Marshall.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
That was like a really big like, oh shit, like and it was based on real events. So I mean, they made it happen after the Marshall team died in a plane crash. They had to restart the whole university's program and. Like a year or two, like the following year or a year later, they get enough kids to play, and they do that. Like the next 5 years, they were like 3-35 or something like that.
Oh wow!
But they did win one game, but then I'm like, and it's no shot at Marshall, but how shitty do you feel as that other team that lost? Like,
right?
And it's ticky tack, but that would probably be one of them. Miracle, I think Miracle actually. Is one of the ones because I was young enough to where I knew that we won the game. Spoiler. But I didn't know how it happened. So there was kind of like you're on. So if you'd seen it, I mean, they do it like shot for shot. So if you're like in your 40s and remember your parents talking about it or watching it, like it's, oh, I know it's at. But like for me, I think I was like 15, 16, and I'd heard enough about it that I knew we won, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. So that whole time, at the end of it, I mean, it's if you don't know if you know we win, but you don't know how, you're just kind of like, all right, like what's going to happen? Like, did they cut it within one? Like, I know a little bit of the tension's taken out, but how we got there was kind of.
Yeah, it's a good journey. I've seen that movie. It's been a long time, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
That's got Kurt Russell in it, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty Disney-esque, but I mean, it's not.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, it's not like bad. I mean, they could have really freaking churched him up. I guess it's still a little. I give it. I mean, from being a coach and watching it and kind of not knowing that culture back then with where the 80s were at, because that was a lot of like, we're going to run in the 95-degree heat, and if you drink water, you're a pussy. Like that was kind of not the greatest way to go about coaching, and a lot of guys were weak if they got cut up and had to sit out. So I don't know I think Kurt Russell nailed it. But I mean, taking that team and trying to build like an attitude around him, I thought I liked it. So I mean, if it was half of what that guy did, like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I remember enjoying Miracle. I thought it was. I've seen it, I think, a couple times, but I was pretty young.
As an avid, like not watching sports at all, that is like right up your alley.
That was one of the first movies I thought of when it came to like the question of best sports scene.
Yeah,
I think
it's actually funny because
I didn't want to use it as an answer because I didn't really remember much of what happens in the movie.
Well, we won, so
I know that.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I mean, that's
the scene where we won in Miracle.
Thing.
Yeah, it's a miracle. So yeah, his next question is worst movie recommendation someone has given you. I'll let you answer this one.
I gotta think. I didn't really.
Okay.
I read his set of questions, and then when he wasn't coming on, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna bump it back." So I didn't look, and all of a sudden I'm kind of like in my mind, like, and I just told you how shitty my memory is. You got to show me some fucking pictures for me to remember anything.
I'll go first, though.
Okay.
So.
Oh, I know what it is. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I have a couple answers.
Okay.
The first one is my mom was telling me and my cousin Daniel, who is a year older than me, so around the same age. My mom was telling me, "Oh, you got to watch this movie, The Girl on the Train. I think you'd really like it."
Oh, with Emily.
Emily Blunt.
Yeah, that was a.
Well, here's the thing. It was my mom's birthday. It was also my cousin's birthday. That same day. Like they share a birthday. And so we were out celebrating, and then we got back home. We were like, "Hey, let's watch a movie. What movie do you want to watch? It's your birthday." And so my mom was like, "Oh, let's watch Girl on the Train." And so me, my mom, my dad, and my cousin, who's a year older than me, are sitting there watching this movie. And I guess my parents had forgotten how many sex scenes are in it.
Oh, wow.
There is a shit ton of sex scenes.
Just getting railed?
I've
seen it, but I don't remember,
clapping cheeks, man.
Oh, really? Like Emily Blunt, getting a finger in her mouth?
Not Emily Blunt specifically, but, other characters. There's a lot of,
Doesn't she do some spying and she watching people getting it on?
It's absurd. That's kind of the whole premise is that she's on the train. She's watching other people's lives. It's borderline pornographic. And I'm glad I'm at the age now where if I see a scene like that with my parents, I can make fun of it now instead of being uncomfortable. So there's that. And then back in the day, I was recommended a lot of Christian movies that people wanted me to see.
It's awful.
That I sat through, and they were not good. So
I'm I'm trying to honestly go through. I'm trying to see one that where someone's this movie's good. You have to go watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily awkward or Oh, dude, you want to get into? Well, I mean, that. You got that. We were watching Black Swan. I watched that with my mom, and all of a sudden, there's one scene where Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis get drunk, and they kind of do the sniffing of the neck and shit. So I got up. I was like, "Well, this is happening." So I get up. I go to the kitchen, and I grab something. I come back. They didn't do anything, and I was like, "Oh, they must allude to it," or because I think I might have heard that Well, they come back to it again. They get even more drunk, and all of a sudden they're in the bedroom, and she kind of gently lays Natalie Portman down, and I'm watching this. I was like, okay, and then they do a scene from her stomach, so you can see her knees, and Mila Kunis is looking at her, and I was like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh god, then I get up again and I go to the bathroom, but I got to see if what they're gonna do. And then all of a sudden it's just a backward shot, I think, of her head, and you can just see Natalie Portman, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh no.
I don't know what's worse watching, if you had to watch a sex scene with your parents, balls to the wall, drunk banging, or the real intimate, slowly kissing thighs, and then leading to a deep caress.
That's a good question. I don't know if I can answer that.
I would almost be I think the drunk banging is so primal. It's oh yeah, that was bound to happen. We're you doing the I'm gonna go down on you, and we're gonna make this really sensual, and I want you to know I'm here loving you. That's the one where I'm all right, this is because this is 6 minutes of this.
Yeah.
Absurd. And we all, and you don't know when to get up because it's not gonna end.
No.
Mm-mm. So anyways, back to all right, people
back to the question.
Yeah, recommending that you watch a film. I know the one that pops off is Gemini Man. That's the one where I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. You have to watch that.
I mean, yeah, you're technically right. I did recommend it.
It wasn't you. It was.
A certain person.
Yes,
you know who you are. I gotcha.
That would probably be it. Maybe The Great Wall. Great Wall's in there. With
Matt Damon.
Yeah, that one's that one's.
I haven't seen that. It doesn't look interesting to me. It looks like a. Yeah, just a typical white savior movie.
Oh yeah, it's it's really 100%. Bad. And they don't even they have it's bizarre. Yeah. It's such a weird film.
He's got a shitty little ponytail.
Yeah. I don't. Anyways, I think that. I've got enough in there, but those are off the top of my head. I know that they're the Ice Princess. That would probably be the.
I don't think I know that one.
I don't know if I got recommended to see it or brought to see it, but However it goes. I mean, Gemini Man and then The Great Wall. And two friends from Sam's Club that did that to me.
Gotcha. All right. His last question in this set. Name a movie that should be remade. And I have some for this too. So the first one I want them to remake The Polar Express because I really like The Polar Express. I think it's like one of my favorite Christmas movies. Mm-hmm. But some of the character designs and the way that the special effects look for them, like the animation, how they like kind of had like the realistic facial stuff going on with like their eyes and their like teeth and stuff is a little creepy sometimes. Like it's a little off-putting. And I feel like if they remade it, they could like fine-tune it, make it better, like make it a little less creepy and jarring. So that would be my answer. And then I wouldn't mind seeing a remake of Escape from New York. I think that would be one that would benefit from a special effects facelift, and I think they could really do a lot with new visuals for that film. So
yeah, I don't know about The Polar Express. That's one I'm kind of I don't know if I'd get behind that.
Gotcha.
But
Escape from New York.
Yeah, that one is, and that one's kind of. I was just thinking like, yeah, that would probably, if you could get the characters down, like if you can get someone that would nail Snake Plissken.
Yeah. Because I really like him as a character, and I like Kurt Russell a lot in that movie. But it is a product of its time, and it's very, very limited for what they could do. And I think if they had something similar to Blade Runner 2049, like not the exact same aesthetic, but like, you know, same sort of effects. Like if fucking Denis Villeneuve ever decided to remake Escape from New York, I would get behind it 100%.
Oh, he would make. Oh, it'd be so gritty. Yeah, it'd be beautifully shot. I bet you he'd make dark look cool like that. You'd have like 6 shades of black.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So those are my answers.
Really. I mean, if it could be bad. Now, I'm only saying this because I'm not a big like You can watch some films and be like, oh, if they did it this way or maybe casted it differently that way. So like, there's always like small choices. And to mess up a film that bad, I was just kind of going through the ones that I have that are not that well rated. I'm like, I don't even know if they're just bad. Like,
yeah.
I would not want to see Gemini Man remade. I don't know if that would be like.
I've seen that argument before. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I've seen that argument before where people are like, oh, they should remake bad movies and make them good again. But I'm sitting there thinking, well, it's not the fact that it needs to be remade that would make it good. Those movies are usually inherently bad for a reason. Like, there's something wrong with them at the core that's more than just, like, the effects or the visuals. Like, there's something wrong with the story and the structure and the characters. Like, you might as well make a different movie at that point because you'd have to rearrange and restructure the entire thing.
Yeah.
You know? And people's preconceived notions of those bad movies when it gets remade is, well, why would I want to see that? That movie was garbage. Like, they already have that notion in the back of their head, like, this movie's bad. Why would I want to pay for it again? Like,
true. I mean, I'm like, it's funny that because you're kind of saying that, I was like, you know what, a movie that popped into my head, Troy with Brad Pitt.
I haven't seen that.
Like, oh yeah, maybe that'd be recommended one day. I don't know. And you can put it on that list. But like that's one where I was like, oh, like you missed out on the character. Like it's Troy, it's Achilles, you know, and the talent of Troy and the whole and Spartan horse and all that shit, you know. So I'm like, I'm just thinking in my head, I was like, oh, that would be one that would actually be a fun one that with a high budget and you got the right cast. Like they took Brad Pitt and made him Achilles. Mm-hmm. Like instead of being like, oh, like let's have like Skarsgård, you know, Skarsgård play that role, you know, like a good looking guy, but like beef him up, like Tom Hart, like I don't know, maybe it might just be something that it's so hard to cast that type of mythical character. Anyways, the one that popped in my head though from recently, Godzilla with Cranston, not far off, but like different choice of fucking aliens and a little bit more incorporation of Godzilla. Yeah. Like there was when Godzilla 2000 came out with Broderick, it was That one they did a decent job holding off on showing Godzilla until a certain point because you didn't know what they were gonna do because there was never put into a big budget film. But by 2014, everyone knows what Godzilla looks like. Get the fucker on there.
Yeah.
You know? And even Godzilla vs. Kong, that one could get fucking remade too. Like that was
very recent films.
Oh my god, pile of shit, dude. Like and that was like that's 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, who the fuck would give this a good?
Yeah.
He partnered up with a human and was like,
save that passion for another discussion of Godzilla.
I will.
So I guess that answers that. Our next question comes from Joanne, my mom.
Oh.
Says, we know Kyle's favorite actor is Keanu Reeves. Who is Kyle's favorite actress? And who is Mac's favorite actor and actress?
Oh.
I can let you go first.
Well, Tom Hardy. I mean, that's a
given.
Well, Kurt Russell's actually in there. If we ever do our top 5 guys that are dudes. But yeah, Kurt Russell's like, he makes it into a lot of my like, oh shit, Bill Paxton's in there. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
I think like now though, I don't know if I really go out to see a movie because there's a certain person in it. You know, like
yeah.
Tom Hardy used to be like that until he sold out and just did a bunch of shit films and
Venom.
fucking not even Venom, dude. He came out with the one his worst choice was when he did the thing with Chris Pine and Reese Witherspoon or whatever the dating thing was. It was like,
oh yeah, I forgot
spies.
He was in that Spy versus Spy or something.
Yeah, some fucking like he just had Bronson. He did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. He was kind of like he's becoming an A-lister, but like we're gonna get him in some like heavy films, you know. We'll be able to get, you know, that beautiful face on screen. He's got some chops around him, you know. And then he did that one because they're like, hey, we need to get him in some American films, and he's got a sense of humor. Let's fucking give him all the money in the world and let him. And then he just made like he's got the Capone movie that he came out with that went straight to DVD. He's got another one where he plays the brothers. That was like,
oh, the Cray twins.
Yeah, like what are you doing, dude? And then
Venom, of course.
Dunkirk. I loved him in Dunkirk. And it's just him. It's just because he's like it's all in his eyes. I mean, like you could tell.
Yeah, you don't
like,
even see his entire face.
No, you're just looking at him like, dude, what are you thinking? What's going on there? Like, what do you know that we don't? You know, and he does so well where he's just kind of pondering all the time, and you're like, and you know he's running out of. Anyways, and then favorite actress. God, there's so many. I don't know if there's one where I'm like Once again, I'm not like I have to go out and see this. Florence Pugh's she's getting in there where I really like her.
She's good.
I mean, a lot of them are like kind of like easy on the eyes, you know. I don't always necessarily have to get into like all right, they're knocking it out of the park. But like I'm trying to think of something. Elizabeth Olsen, actually. Like if I could take her out of, I would do like her in Old Boy, but take her out of Old Boy. I actually never seen Old Boy. If I could never see Old Boy, like that one,
yeah,
you know
that one.
Good
answers.
Yeah, I was about to say she's up there, and then it's probably Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt's good. I like her a lot because she does a lot of sort of like higher concept, like science fiction, sort of like horror movie stuff. I really like the fact that she delves a lot into that sort of thing. Yeah,
she's kind of like all over the place when it comes to, because she's got the Jungle Cruise and she's got the Day After Tomorrow and A Quiet Place. So like there's sci-fi, horror, and family.
Day After Tomorrow. You mean Edge of Tomorrow?
Yeah. I said Day After Tomorrow.
You said Day After Tomorrow.
Shit. Yeah. Live, Die, Repeat.
Live, Die, Repeat. Yeah. One of these days, I want to recommend both Live, Die, Repeat and Eat, Pray, Love, so that the title of the episode can just be like a series of commas with those words. Like Eat, Pray, Love,
Isn't
Live,
it
Die,
periods
Repeat.
after Live, Die, Repeat? Don't they do like live,
Is it?
Period, die, period, repeat, period?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know how Eat, Pray, Love. I don't know how that one looks. I don't even know what that is.
That's like Julia Roberts, like romantic comedy thing. She's in Italy and she's eating food. It's whatever. I haven't seen it.
Actresses of the 90s are long gone. I don't even know. Like, I don't think that there's really any from the 2000s that are like holding up to today. Actresses, I'm going to say this, have the hardest spot. They've got like, usually you've got a 6 to 8 year window. to like knock it out, because then it's the next young girl comes up, and because fucking men are pigs, you're always drooling over the next youngest person that kind of steps into that role. I think Meryl Streep held it the longest. You know,
Diane Keaton. Maybe. Yeah,
like
she's been around for a while.
Yeah,
she's been around since like the.
Well, I know
like,
she's been
Woody
around.
Allen
I'm not
days,
saying.
yeah.
I'm saying like Meryl Streep's getting nominated. All right, probably trying to. Oh yeah,
No, we're good. We're good on time.
we got wind's still coming in from the west. We got time,
baby.
You ever seen Castaway?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
A while ago, but yeah, I've
One of
seen
my
it.
favorite quotes. Whenever when he's talking to Wilson, and he's doing the fucking sign up the ropes. And he's looking at Wilson. And he's like, "Yeah, we just got to do. I'll go up there. He goes, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get it done. We got time.
Best supporting actor in a movie.
We got time. The wind's still coming in from the west. We've got time."
He's like making this argument.
He's talking to a volleyball.
That's such a damn. I really like that movie. It's probably one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies.
Yeah. Between that and Joe versus the Volcano.
As far as my favorite actresses, I have answers for this. I really like Ana de Armas. Not just because I think she's like beautiful and I want to marry her, but because I think
that?
She's in Blade Runner 2049. She's the holographic girlfriend.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
I really like her.
She's in other stuff?
Yeah, well, she's in Knives Out. I think she's one of the best parts of Knives Out.
Okay.
Like, I really like her character.
Without the dialogue, yeah.
She has dialogue in that movie.
I haven't seen Knives Out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's good in that. I think she's really good in Blade Runner 2049. I'm excited to see her in... she's got her own movie coming out that's like in the John Wick universe. It's called Ballerina.
Oh.
So I'm excited to see that. I really
Playing
like
off John Wick 3.
I really like Amy Adams. I think that she's really good in most things that she's in.
Amy Adams. Yeah.
Even though she was in Dear Evan Hansen, which is a piece of shit movie, she's really good in it.
Creative choices, okay?
She's a good actress in it, and she does a good job, but that movie's just fucking awful. So yeah, I think she's really talented. I really like Thomasin McKenzie. I don't know if you know who that is. She's the girl in Last Night in Soho. That's not Anya Taylor-Joy.
No, I got to see that one too. She's
in Jojo Rabbit. She's got like a small role in Power of the Dog. She's like one of the maids that like cleans up. I really like her. She's got like a good voice.
Yeah,
it's like kind of quiet and whispery, like kind of raspy a little bit.
I just thought about Anya Taylor-Joy's pretty good. I like her. You know who's another one that we both missed?
Who's that?
And I can't even think of her name now. She was in Men. The leading...
Oh, Jessie Buckley.
Dude, she's fantastic.
I really like her.
She's in Chernobyl.
Really?
She's in Chernobyl on HBO. She's in... I'm
thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah, she's in Men. There was something else I'm skipping out, but dude, she's fantastic.
Yeah, I've only seen her and I'm thinking of Ending Things.
She was in Fargo. She was like one of the reasons why I was trying to like season 4 of Fargo that I need to pick up back on.
Oh, gotcha. Wasn't Jesse Plemons in that too? In Fargo?
Yeah, that's when I found out he was married to Kirsten Dunst. It was insane. That season 2 of Fargo, like watch that alone. Yeah.
Good to know. Our next question comes from James. What is a movie most people love that you hate?
Good question, James. You trying to just shit on people?
Did you want to go first?
No, you got to let me think.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you. I cannot, like, we're talking.
I don't know
all
what
I'm seeing
ones
is
you
a
have
white blank sheet of paper.
Quick access to and which ones you don't?
None.
All right, I'll take the reins.
I could say that. I'm just going to look up and all of a sudden I'm going to go on about 20 minutes about John Wick 3 because all of the pictures just come flooding to my head. It's awful.
It's the closest frame of reference, literally frame, because I have it framed.
Damn, get them.
So a lot of people like Killing Them Softly. I'm not a fan of that movie. I think I didn't really get much from that. There's this movie called Across the Universe.
Oh, that one sucks.
My friends really love that movie. Like they watch it constantly. Gideon and Lauren. it doesn't
Love
help.
you, Gideon. We appreciate everything you do for the pod.
Yeah,
and for being our friends. Well, Kyle's friend. Hopefully my friend too still.
They love the Beatles too, so they've got like a little bit of a Beatles bias.
That movie, like,
this movie is just like a Beatles circle jerk, and the fucking it's so goofy how it's structured. I was
watching it, and like, because it's Scotty's favorite film, so like Scott's like, we gotta watch this film.
Oh, really?
I was like, I'll find, like, let's fucking watch it.
Ironic.
And then all of a sudden, like, the British guys are in America doing an American accent, but then singing like Brits, the Beatles. And I'm like, I looked over at him at one point. I was like, where are we in the film? He's like, his dad left him. He clearly came over to America and he's trying to get into college. He's a janitor now. And I was like, then why the fuck do we have Brits in America? Like, what?
Just so he could be British and look like like he could be part of the Beatles, and his name was Jude.
Oh my god, dude! Like, there was so many like
that, and then the fucking "Do you want to start a revolution" song, like. That was the worst. I make fun of that constantly.
It felt like it was like a West Side, and I'm not here to shit on that film, but it was like West Side Story. Like, all of a sudden, it's just like someone says a line of dialogue, and it's like, "Hey,
yeah,
mister,
I know, right? Like,
we gotta start a revolution."
He's arguing with his girlfriend in like this news area where like they're all trying to like this like press building.
Yeah,
and he's like trying to get her to like leave with him, and she's like, "No, this is important." And he's like, so you want to start a revolution? And I'm like, God, kill me.
Oh, dude, it was
end me now.
That came out, I think I want to say 2005, 2006.
It's older than I keep thinking that it is.
And like in high school, people were like, it's revolutionary and it's fucking part of the pun. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I will, like, what's so great about it? And they're like, it's the Beatles, and like
they made all the songs into a story, and the characters' names are names of the songs. Don't you get it?
And I was like, oh, okay, like that. Isn't that just a musical? It's like, yeah, but it's the Beatles. I was like, well, listen to the White Album. Like, I don't have to fucking go watch like 2 hours of these people singing about stuff.
Like, if you like the Beatles so much, just listen to the fucking songs.
Yeah, that's what it's literally. And then so like 15 years later, I got conned into watching it, and I was like, what am I watching? Like, what?
Yeah.
This was it? Like, go watch fucking Romeo and Juliet.
It's so taped together and like shambled.
It was just, I mean, the
into
Beatles
assimilation.
They must have signed off with like Universal, and they were like, let's get them in. Like, let's get everyone we possibly can onto the Beatles train.
We got the rights to the Beatles stuff. We gotta cram all this shit in here.
So that's yours, okay? And I sorry that I just did that because I think that's years past of when I would have shit on it and not liked it when everyone did love it. I think now it's kind of like one of those sentimental films that you're kind of like looking back like, oh yeah, that really kind of made up my high school experience. No, mine was Paranormal Activity. We watched that in college, and everyone's like, it's gonna blow your mind. It's fucking insane. Like, you're going to be so scared. And we watched it, and I was just shitting on it the whole time. Choppy editing, like, bad. Like, why are they doing it like this? Why are they doing it like that? And I was like, what's so scary about this? Like, like the baby's going to terrorize them?
It's just the format people like, the like
you don't
security
know where it's coming
cam.
from. Everyone thinks it's real.
Whatever. Yeah. It like makes it look like it could have happened, but
well, and then I was also like, why are there cameras just in these people's rooms? Like, who set this up?
Yeah, you're trying to think about the logistics of it.
Seeing logistics. Oh, 100%. Like, none of this makes sense for like why this is occurring, for it to even be somewhat of a POV, like real. Yeah, so that was the one I used to get. That was at like in college when everyone was like, "Oh yeah, man, like this movie's sick," and I was like the one that was like, "No, it sucks. It's not that scary. Like, go watch, American Werewolf in London. Like, that's kind of creepy. It's like, Park, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a fucking idiot." It's like, no, it's just a bad movie. Like, it's not that I'm like, it's not scary and it's like not great. It's just, it is what it is. It sucks. Like. So yeah,
can't argue with that.
Rub people the wrong way.
Can't
I don't.
argue with
In
that.
any world, I don't think you could argue that movie's good.
Gideon's gonna call me after listening to this, and he's gonna be like, "Dude, what the fuck?"
Dude, across the universe and then Paranormal Activity. Like, fuck you guys.
Right. And then I do have an answer I want to touch on quick before the next question.
Okay.
But like most people love the like Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler comedy movies. Like general audiences, like those movies make money because people love Will Ferrell and they love Adam Sandler. Most of those films I just can't do.
I think after a certain point, like all like comedies are so of the time.
Yeah.
Like you realize like comedy, like you think an actress has like a window, like comedies have like, you've got like 4 or 5 years to be funny until it's that next person comes up because they're more relatable. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
so easily aged.
Like the
a lot of
Sandler
time.
stuff from the 90s and maybe early, like I think Sandler had a good long run. Jim Carrey had like a good long run, but like, and Will Ferrell. Like Will Ferrell from 04, for me, like 04 to maybe like 12 or 13. Like I think maybe like whatever came out, maybe Kicking and Screaming came out after Step Brothers. I don't know if it did or didn't.
I think Step Brothers was 2008. Kicking and Screaming was 2006.
Oh, really?
I think so.
There was one other one. Like Will Ferrell had like one right after Step Brothers was a tweener, but it's made enough rounds where I'm like, man, it's got a lot of quotes.
He's got Talladega Nights. He's got Semi-Pro. Kicking and Screaming, Step Brothers.
Yeah, I think that's all before 2010 though.
Yeah, probably. Anchorman.
Anchorman was 2003.
I would say Anchorman's one of the better ones.
That was his first one. I think Old School came out and then they gave him Anchorman, and Anchorman he fucking destroyed. Anchorman I saw in 8th grade, and I think I had a buddy that peed his pants in the movie.
That's like one of the most quoted Will Ferrell, probably one of the most quoted comedy movies ever.
Yeah.
Is that movie.
Oh yeah.
That and Super Troopers. People love quoting Super Troopers.
Yeah. But no, I'm with you. I'm with you on that stuff because I think they like Sandler's just now just pumping out movies to get a paycheck.
Did you hear that he's gonna make another movie with the Safdie brothers?
Yeah, I think it's about finding a basketball player. He actually is
He has a movie coming out where like it's him with basketball, but
that's not the Safdies.
That's not the Safdies.
Oh, I thought that was the one.
No, that's a different thing. It's not like a typical Adam Sandler movie, but that's different from what he's doing with the Safdies.
What are they doing?
There's no like premise or synopsis.
They just were like, "Hey, we like each other. Let's do it."
There's going to be another Safdie brothers movie that stars Adam Sandler.
Benny Safdie, dude, I like it. That guy's got chops. I liked him in fucking Licorice Pizza.
He was good. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's going to be in Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's next film. But then again, who isn't in that movie?
I want to see that too. Yeah, it's going to even be more fragmented fucking time.
Yeah.
I thought the multiverse was crazy.
Our next question comes from Chris. Is this going to be a sports podcast? In reference to the fact that your brother was going to be on. No.
Our 2 films, I mean, we got the 2 still planned out. It's actually unfortunate because I was really looking forward to talking about War of the Worlds. I think all
I'm still looking forward to it.
And I got to go back. I haven't watched that film since 2005. Like it came out, and I think I got it for Christmas from my uncle or something like that. And that was like the last time I unwrapped that DVD and probably watched it like Christmas the day after, and that's the last time I've seen that film.
Yeah.
Right. I will have watched it 3 times within the last month. Like by the time, because I haven't had to take notes on it, and like.
You'll get a good understanding of it.
Oh, dude.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to talking about that one, and then we got the Star Wars one. So, no, I think Chris was saying that because Sam had all those questions.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, too.
Yeah.
Last question from Levi. I feel like we've answered a similar question, but I guess I'll just throw it out there anyway.
Sure.
Favorite sequel?
Favorite sequel?
So I've got some answers. I really like The Raid 2. I think that's a pretty good sequel to the first Raid.
Yeah.
Puts a little more meat on the bones of what was already there. Toy Story 2, I think, is really good. Like, I think I almost like that one better than the first one. I think that's super strong. Very emotional for me.
Yeah, they actually dive a little bit more into some of that. Well, because Toy Story is so raw, and it's like the first time it's coming out, very simple story.
Yeah.
And then Toy Story 2, they had a little bit more money to tie into a script, and it's like, oh, like we're not constrained with anything.
They had more money. They added a lot of emotional depth to the characters. Like, I really like that
Speaking
movie.
of a fucking like world or a universe, like that one is unrivaled to anything. Like you can literally do anything as long as a human picks you up and puts you somewhere.
Yep. The Bourne, Supremacy, and Ultimatum, I think are great follow-ups to the first one. The Bourne Identity, I think, is the first one, right?
Don't know. Never got into them.
Oh, they're I recommend them. They're very good action films from like the early 2000s.
Yeah, they feel like very Mission Impossible-esque.
They are. I would say it has a little more like government subterfuge, like espionage stuff going on than Mission Impossible. At least
I'm sure Mission Impossible's like surface level, but I gotta imagine this stuff's kind of close to it though.
A little bit, yeah. But in terms of like the action choreography, they're pretty well done, and it's like it's shaky cam with a purpose. Like it's not like the Taken films,
right,
where it's just used to hide the choreography and the fact that they don't know what they're doing. It's used because it's implemented in moments of tension, and it's effectively used throughout the movie. Yeah. So I like it for that reason, and I think that the choreography still shows through, and it's just a really well done action film.
Yeah.
And then finally, of course, Blade Runner 2049. I think that is probably like my number one answer.
My number one answer would be Aliens 2. Aliens 2, I think, is the best of the Aliens franchise.
Okay, I've only seen the first Alien.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aliens 2, James Cameron directs it.
Yeah.
And it, like, do you remember, have you seen The Purge?
I know what The Purge is, and I've seen, like, I think I've watched the ending before,
well,
like the original Purge.
So The Purge, they take you in, and they like, all right, you got the whole Purge going on, but then they put you in a house, and you're living in the house while the whole Purge is going on, trying to figure out how to survive in the house. Mm-hmm. So it's very limited storytelling or limited environment, you know? Aliens is kind of like that. Like, you're running away from an alien in a ship. Mm-hmm. Aliens 2 is like, we're going to fucking take a whole colony of these things and, like, put you in it.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead, you know? And, like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, like, when movies come out and they do that, and it's well, we reduce it down to, like, 2, like, all right, a bomb goes off, and, like, we're protected, and it's like, we just got to, you know, they somehow eliminate some of the threat. Not at all in this one. It's very tense throughout, and you're discovering what's going on as you go through the film. And they got, you know, obviously there's some emotional attachment in there, and Alien 2 is fantastic. And then I think, I mean, that's probably it. I mean, I would say, you know, I'm going to get shit on by some people for not saying The Godfather Part 2, but that one I have to rewatch again. And I think The Godfather, you really have to open your mind to a lot of more of the underlying storylines that are going on. Mm-hmm. And kind of, if you have that, and sometimes my brain does not work like that when I'm watching old-timey films. I've
heard Terminator 2 is really good.
Judgment Day?
Mm-hmm. I thought Judgment Day is Judgment Day 2 or 3?
2. Okay. Rise of the Machines is 3, I think.
Oh, okay.
And then Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard that was good. I mean, I can't vouch for it because I haven't seen
it. It is. Terminator, that's another James Cameron. Like, he took, like, he must have took, like, some 80s films and was like, hey, I'm pretty sure he had to have done Aliens 2 and Terminator 2, because that came out in 91 or 92, I want to say, and then Terminator came out in 84, 86?
Possibly.
Yeah, he took, I mean, but he flipped the script, and Terminator 2 is that'll be one that'll kind of make you, there you go. There's your fucking, like, your androids, like, are they people or are they machines? I still think about Gosling in 2049, and I'm like, what was he? Like, where are we going with this? Does he have the ability to process all this shit? It's the same thing with Schwarzenegger. Like, and I think it's cinema manipulating us.
Time to watch it again to figure it out.
I would say, you got to watch Terminator before I would recommend Terminator 2 too, but I feel like that's like a you thing.
That's like a personal journey type thing.
Yeah, like that's your vision quest.
Okay.
Like, when you're like, I'm not going to force you to watch it. Like, you'll be like, all right, today's the day.
When I know the time is right.
Yeah.
I'll know.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that was our last question.
Yeah.
All right, time to wrap things up pretty much. And next episode, we're going to have your brother on.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about the beginning, episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which is a behind-the-scenes look at the making of...
Did you watch that yet?
Not yet. Okay. I want to watch it shortly before we record with Sam so that it's fresh in my mind, just so I can remember as much as I can when the time comes.
Yeah.
So, yep, we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. Came out 2005 with Tom Cruise. And, I watched that movie. It's still, like... I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking of, like,
Don't
what
have
I
to
think
give
of it.
any spoilers.
I'm not going to give my
You don't have to-
impressions.
I was about to say.
But there is a lot to say. I will just mention that.
That's what I'm excited about because I know he's gonna have a lot of stuff to say. I wrote that film off, and now after rewatching it, I've got a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Yep.
there's enough meat on the bone. Enough meat on
There's
the bone.
enough. Between the three of us, there's going to be plenty.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, thank you everyone for listening to episode 20. Episode 21 will come out 2 weeks from now. You can find us on our website, www.neoncrewpodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, visit our website. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already.
Yeah.
That would really make me happy and help me sleep better at night.
Put us over that 20 mark.
Knowing that someone cares. My aunt subscribed.
Nice.
Yeah, we're up to 30 now.
30?
Mhm.
Holy shit.
I know.
There we go.
We're old enough to start thinking about our place in life.
Damn straight. Past that midlife crisis, baby.
Woo! So yeah, Mac, anything you want to say before we close?
Well, it's looking down a long week ahead of you. Probably listening to this on a Sunday. Monday's popping up tomorrow for us today, for yesterday in a week. But as always, just remember, WWTHD.
Bye everyone.